Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Knobscot Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. It's K Sports Monday, I guess you could call it. I'm your host, Joe Bramer, alongside the legend Jimmy Young and the soon-to-be legend Tom Kelly. Guys, how are you doing today?
Very good. I'd be in a much better mood if the Patriots had won yesterday.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes, and before we get things started, we'd like to apologize for all the Packers memorabilia because some producer of ours, Jamie, is a big Packers fan, and he loves to gloat about yesterday's football game between the Packers and the Patriots. We got a lot to talk about.
Let him gloat.
Yes.
Let him gloat.
Yes, I feel like we should have him on and gloat.
No, we're not going to have him on.
To the victor goes the spoils.
To the victor goes the spoils, and let him enjoy this one because come February 1st, we'll be decorating this with Patriots Super Bowl champion
Yeah.
here. All right?
We're not
That's
getting
how
to
I feel.
predictions.
Jamie.
So
how
we
I
got
feel.
some Patriots to talk about. We got the Celtics. We got some off-season baseball moves. We got NFL Roundup. We've got a lot to talk about. And, of course, we're going to have Jason Siegel call in at 6 o'clock.
The encyclopedia himself.
That's right.
The professor. The professor is out there.
Our sports professor, Jason Siegel. So
Yes.
we're going to get it started
Professor Siegel.
with the big game, the Packers
Yep.
and the Patriots. The Packers coming away 26-21 at Lambeau Field. It was a very competitive game in my mind, and
Oh, yeah.
people are saying, Green Bay, just took that one. Would you guys give credit to the Packers, or would you give the loss to the Patriots?
Tom, I'll let you go
I
first.
give credit to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers utilizing his secondary receivers because Brandon Browner and
Darrell Rivers.
Darrell Revis were on their top guys all night. They still found a way to get yardage. And to me, it all came down for the Patriots trying to make that one big defensive stop, and they couldn't make it.
And how many times have we heard that over the last 10 years?
Too many.
And it's too
many.
bad because I really think the Patriots defense did show very well yesterday by taking the top two receivers for the most part out of the game. I mean, Jordy Nelson did score a touchdown at the end of that first half, which really broke the game.
It
I don't
really
wanna say
changed the
broke up, but
momentum.
it changed
No.
everything.
Yeah.
Because I really felt
That
like
was
if
a
the Patriots
backbreaker.
had made it a little bit more competitive going into that second half. Nobody scored in the third quarter. I expected the Patriots to come out in the second
Yeah.
quarter after adjustments and drive the field. They weren't able to do that. I do give credit to the Packers as well. I thought it was a very well played game.
Because Aaron Rodgers isn't that bad, He's okay.
Actually, I'll be perfectly honest. I
I'm
think
sorry
Aaron
about
Rodgers
that.
right now is probably your best quarterback. I used to say Peyton Manning, but he showed me a lot in the game yesterday. More mobile than I ever remember him being. I give Brady a lot of credit because he's improved on his mobility in the pocket, the ability to step up and avoid the pressure. But Aaron Rodgers just took it to a whole new level, and I'll give him some credit. I will say that while we diss on the Patriots defense because they couldn't make that final stop in the fourth quarter, they were stopping Green Bay from scoring in the red zone in that
Yes, they
first
were.
quarter.
They were.
And anytime you can get a field goal instead of a touchdown is a 4-point win. So the Patriots were in the game even at 13-0. It could have been 21-0. I'm sure the Packers fans out there thought it should have been 21-0. Too bad.
Yeah, tough.
Too bad. You got
Tough.
the last laughing.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a Super Bowl preview. I really do. I mean, Seattle's playing much better now than they have all season. But I think it'll be a great rematch to see Green Bay and the Patriots in the Super Bowl in Arizona.
Yeah, there
Nothing
was-
set in stone, of course.
That's right.
No,
And-
I'm ready to jump right ahead, though. I have no problem.
No bandwagon
Yeah,
for me.
and this is the Green Bay Packers. You talk about the Super Bowl preview. There was so much hype, and I believe this could have been a whole different game if this was not at Lambeau Field. Let's keep in mind the Packers, after this game, are 6-0 at home in Lambeau Field. With that win, they have. I think they tied the Cardinals and the Eagles with the best record in the NFC. The Patriots, all of their losses this year have come on the road. They were in Miami. We know how that went. They were in Kansas City. We also know how that went. And now, yesterday, against Green Bay. It would be a totally different game if it was either on a neutral field or if it was at Gillette Stadium. The only way the Packers won, in my mind, was they had the home field advantage. It would be so different if it was not at Lambeau.
Go ahead, Tom.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because that's why the Patriots need the number one seed in the AFC. They
Right.
need the AFC Championship game in New England.
It is such an advantage to play in a temperature
Friendly,
factored in kind of because
But both
as you
teams
know,
are
Especially
used
when
to
you're
the
playing
cold.
a certain
Right, that's
choker
right.
named Peyton Manning.
it was very cold there. I don't know how cold it was, but
Pretty
it was
cold.
extremely cold.
It gets pretty cold up there in
36
Wisconsin.
in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
In Wisconsin.
The Patriots have 4 more games left in the regular season. They have a Miami home game, a Buffalo home game, at Green Bay, and my whole day I've been trying to figure out who that 4th game is, and you guys are going to tell me. It's at San Diego next week. I know that.
And then they go to the Jets. They go play the Jets.
The Jets.
The Jets,
I
Jets,
remember
Jets, Jets.
They're such
Oh,
a
yeah.
non-factor, it tends to slip through the brain. But I'll tell you, the Jets gave the Patriots fits.
They
the
did.
first time
Yes,
they
they
played
did.
them,
Yep.
and came very close to winning
Beating
that game.
them, yep.
So all bets are off on that one. But we'll have
Miami
to see.
game should be it should be contained. It should be an easy win. in my
Dolphins aren't
opinion.
that bad this year.
here's the
6
thing.
and 5,
They're
playing
still the
Monday
Dolphins.
night.
Absolutely. I
tonight.
think what you're seeing is the AFC East is better than a lot of people thought it would be. Hey, you know what?
You're getting a call.
We're getting a call from Mike Burns, who's the president of the New England Revolution. How
Ooh.
cool is that?
Oh.
And of course, the
They
Revolutions
may
are
be-
in the MLS Cup.
Yeah, I was about
All right, let's see if we
Where's-
get this. Is this Mike Burns? Don't die on us.
Michael Burns, how are you?
Good, Michael. Thank you so much. Yes, put your earpieces in, guys, so you can talk to them too. Thank you so much for dialing us up. I know how busy you must be this time.
I gotta be honest with you, it's an awesome busy, and right now I'm heading to help coach my 8-year-old indoor soccer game. So we're trying to juggle a rep appearance in the MLS Cup and my son's indoor game.
Is this the first USSF A licensed coach to coach at the youth level? That's what I want to know. Oh, poor Mike, you've been yelling too much from the sidelines.
No,
from
I haven't been yelling. I just have this cough that I can't get rid of, but I feel fine.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you and the team for getting to the MLS Cup Finals, winning the Eastern Conference Championship again. And, Mike, as you know, I go back to the very beginning with the New England Revolution, and I really think that this year is the year that you've put together a team that has everything you need to win a championship. Now you just have to play for 90 minutes, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, listen, we've found every way to lose the previous 4 appearances, and they've been very close in games. And we put ourselves in a position to make a run at another MLS Cup, and we're hopeful that we're going to come up victorious on Sunday. But the Galaxy are an excellent team. They've had an excellent season, and they've obviously earned the right to host the final. And but we've got a confident group of guys, and we're going to be prepared to go out and try to win this thing.
All right, Mike, this is Joe Braidman from K Sports. I'd also like to send you my congratulations. It seems like, Revolution Soccer, it was kind of really a thing in the past until, for the past few years, until you guys made the MLS Cup. What was your game plan going into this year, hoping to make that Cup final?
I mean, I think every year is the same, and whether the 10 teams, as was the case in '96, or 19 teams this year, it's every team has the same goal at the beginning of the year. It's to get into the playoffs and put yourself in a position to win an MLS Cup. And so it's different for us this year, and some years you're able to achieve that goal, and some years you're not. But we felt we had a good enough team, and then obviously with the addition of Jermaine this summer, it kind of took us to another level. And since we've been able to acquire him, we've been on a really good run at the right time.
Hey, Mike, I got to ask you about the signing of Jermaine Jones. What a difference it made to your team and his impact on the lineup. Coming into this, of course, he had most of his experience over in Europe, but he's really made an impact on the team, and it seems to be, certainly the MVP this year.
Yeah, I mean, Jermaine has. We knew he was an excellent player. Obviously, he had a phenomenal World Cup. He's had an excellent career in Europe. What really has been a pleasant surprise is we really didn't know Jermaine the person. And not only has he been fantastic on the field, but he's been fantastic off it. In terms of anything that's been asked of him, he's been a natural, true leader in the locker room. The guys have an instant respect for him, and he carries himself in the right way. He's arguably the most professional guy we have. And when you're that professional in the way you approach training, and the way you approach games, and the way you look after yourself and take care of yourself, and the way he competes, it's contagious. And it's certainly contagious with the younger players that we've had. So he has exceeded all of our expectations thus far. And like I said, he's taken us to another level. And hopefully, our record is crazy. It's like, I want to say 12-1-1 or something since he's joined us, or since he's played. And we're hoping he can add one more win to that list.
All right, and with the Revolution, they had a sweep of the New York Red Bulls. That was truly a great series. How are you guys game planning for the Cup final?
Well, we're going to try to do the things that we think that we're good at. We'll continue to work on that this week and just kind of fine tune everything. But the New York series was a good series, but we feel like we're playing well right now. We have a lot of confidence right now. And basically it started this morning because we really didn't know where we were going until last night at midnight. So our coaches have been hard at work, and they've been dissecting the two teams on film. And, and we've been in LA earlier this year. It was one of our poorest showings of the year. So we obviously want to try to come back and redeem ourselves from that.
It's definitely going to be great. Do you feel like you still have to sell soccer to the U.S. and your team?
I'm sorry, you broke up. I'm on my phone. You broke up there for a minute. Can you repeat that?
Do you feel like you still have to sell soccer?
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you're still selling soccer? The game, Mike, I mean, you did draw 32,000 fans yesterday, and the World Cup all of a sudden is outranking the Stanley Cup. Unless the Bruins are in it. But do you still feel you're doing mostly selling or developing an audience?
I think it's a lot more. It's a lot closer, Jimmy, to a combination of both of those things. Where in the early years it was clearly heavily more geared towards the selling aspect of the sport, and so now there's still the certain element of trying to promote and sell our sport. There's no question about that. But all the MLS teams now have development academies. There's been over 100 players that have signed in MLS coming through the development academy. We have Diego Fagundes from Leominster and Scott Caldwell as two homegrown guys, and we hope to continue that. But it is about development, and it will always be, to a certain degree, about selling the sport as well and promoting it. But it's not as much that as it was in the past with the variety of different owners that we have now, the soccer-specific stadium. So, we're still a very young league in terms of and overall, we don't even have 20 years under our belt yet. And from where we came in '96 to where we are now, in terms of the exposure and development, it's leaps and bounds from where it was.
And of course, you're playing the LA Galaxy in the MLS Cup. How do you feel about going to LA and knowing that the Galaxy have the home field advantage?
I mean, for sure, would we rather be hosting the game? There's no doubt about that. But I actually supported and believe that the league made a good decision to award the team with the higher point total to host the MLS Cup. And I mainly believe that because it gives more incentive to the regular season. And so it puts more onus on every single game that you play, that if you're more successful in the regular season and you get home field advantage throughout the playoffs, I think that's a good thing. And so it's going to be obviously more challenging for us. As I said, I'd much prefer the game to be at Select Stadium, but it's not, and it's going to be more difficult for us, and they've earned the right to host it. So I've got no problem with it at all.
Hey, listen for the silence. That's what you want to do, is keep those away fans nice and quiet by scoring early.
If we can score early and often, then yeah, I think that's going to be part of it. Is you want to try to keep the crowd as quiet as possible. And for any of you that saw the game last night, once Seattle scored the first and then the second goal, their fans got a lot more lively, and it became more difficult. And credit to the Galaxy for holding on to that 2-1 result.
Is it going to be Landon Donovan's last game?
He says it is, and so I know about as much of that as you do and everyone else. And he's certainly got a lot of publicity over the course of since his announcement to now in terms of his retirement. But he's still a relatively young man, and he said he's going to retire. And if he wanted to retire this week, I'd be fine with that too.
Wouldn't we all?
That's great. That is so great. Well, Mike, first of all, congratulations. As someone who sat through the first MLS Cup monsoon that was held in Foxborough, I wish you guys all the luck in the world. You deserve a little luck at this point. and bring home that cup so we can warm up the duck boats in Boston.
All right, guys. I appreciate the time, and thank you for your support as always.
All right.
Thank you for your
Michael.
time.
Take care. Good luck
care.
in that
Bye-bye.
youth soccer game. All right.
Yeah.
Do you guys know that Mike Burns grew up in Marlborough, Massachusetts?
Marlboro.
And he is one of the, hang on a second, I'm going to do this. Here we go. He is one of the, oh, that was much better, right? That was
Tangled.
much better. Hang on. This is great. You talk about live television, folks. This is what it's all about.
Live TV.
You can't get more live than this.
We're bringing it, baby.
Got it. All right. Oh,
All right.
I'm putting the headset on my microphone. That didn't work too well. Did anybody hear me? Okay. Anyway, Mike is one of the only players in the United States history of soccer to play for the United States at the U16 level, the U17 level, the U20 level, the U23 level, and the national team and play in the World Cup too.
Wow.
And he grew up here in Marlborough, Massachusetts.
Wow.
And back in 1994, when I was on New England Cable News, I was the first one to know that he was named to the World Cup team. And that was really kind of a big story around here because then the MLS didn't exist. No one knew that soccer was a big sport except for people who may have come from another country. And I did because I grew up with the game here in Newton, Massachusetts, and I used to go to all the games of all the professional teams. So it was a lot of fun for me to watch him play for the national team, and then of course the MLS, and now he's the president of that team. And again, I give credit to someone that Jimmy Myers doesn't like too much, and that would be the Robert Kraft and his family.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they went to bat for soccer in this area, and needless to say, it was a very good investment for them because they started, I believe, with $5 million for that Revolution team, and I think now they may even be able to get a stadium in the city of Boston built. So we'll see.
Wow.
Never an easy thing in the city of
Never
Boston,
say never, I
but it would be
suppose.
good. All right, so we took a little bit of a time out there and
Right.
got off our track, but I know you guys can adapt to this.
Yes.
Not sure where we were, but I tell you, we're going back to the Packers and the Patriots. Let's talk about third down conversions because I really felt that's where this game was won and lost for the Patriots. They only made 4 first downs and had 10 opportunities to do that.
Yeah, that it's just
That's
unacceptable. It's unspeakable. I mean, the biggest thing first off is to get the first down and not have to face third down. That's the biggest thing. And when you're in Lambeau Field talking about getting third down, that Lambeau Field crowd is riled. The cheeseheads, as people like to call them, they get all riled up, and that sort of. Players don't talk about it, but it brings a lot of pressure when the fans are just going nuts. The noise it's so hard, and when you're at Lambeau Field facing third down, it's kind of hard to convert.
Well, that's the idea. That is called the home field advantage, and they certainly have it. And the Patriots enjoy one at home, too. It just shows you how tough it is to win on the road. And if the Patriots can win these 2 next away games that they have, the Jets and San Diego, they will finish 5-3, but realistically, guys, let's face it, it could very easily be 4-4 because going to San Diego is never an easy thing.
Task.
And it's why the Patriots are there this week.
One of
They
their
did not
pet
come
peeves.
back.
One of their things is the Patriots are not good at winning on the road. We saw that last year in the AFC
Who is?
Championship game.
Oh,
and
actually,
we saw
a few
it,
teams are actually this year.
and we
the Saints can't win at home, right?
and I lost my train of thought. Good job, Tom. But
we get
talk about
and we
being on
see
the
it
road.
continuously this year.
Yes, it is. The home field advantage definitely, I think it affects
Huge.
the referees. I think it affects the players, their execution of
Certainly
plays.
affected Hockley last
If you
night.
look at, yeah, I know it. Nice pipes. Anyway, New England, 54 total plays to Green Bay 70. Time of possession, 23 minutes, 25 seconds, and 36 minutes for the Packers. And, that's really the difference in this game. The third down conversions, the amount of possession. Another couple things about last night that really stand out to me, 0 turnovers on either side. Both teams came into this game as 2 of the best teams doing that. And also penalties, 4 penalties apiece for just about 22 and 25 yards. So a well-played game for the most part.
Yes, it was very competitive. The Packers did have the edge. And I want to go back to the past 3 games because the past 3 games before yesterday, they were playing division leaders. and I want to focus on the quarterbacks. Peyton Manning in Denver, they beat him in Gillette. 438 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You don't normally see interceptions with Peyton Manning in his stats. Andrew Luck, the resurging Andrew Luck, 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. You don't normally see those numbers. And then against the Lions, Matthew Stafford, 264 and an interception. That's how good this defense has been. Now, with yesterday and Rodgers, 368 yards and 2 TDs.
And no INTs.
That's right. And, those 3 teams before the Packers have some explosive offenses. And to force the numbers, the interceptions that they did against the Broncos, the Colts, and the Lions is unbelievable. And they just couldn't get it done with the Packers.
Did they get away from the running game a little too early? I mean,
that was the biggest thing.
They were shoving it down.
I think when
their
they
throat
get
with Blunt
right
early on.
Right, and I think when they get behind, they tend to dump the running game faster than they would if they scored first. See, I think with the Patriots, if they score first in the game, it changes how they make their calls. And I think you saw that again last night, yesterday afternoon. Anyway.
Yeah, the biggest thing was to establish the run game. LeGarrette Blount, 10 rush for only 58 yards. That's, you have to get the run game. This is a league now where it's in a balanced offense. You need the same amount of pass as the same amount of rush. And the Patriots yesterday relied too heavily on their pass game.
Any idea why Brandon Bolden was in this lineup?
No
He's been
clue.
playing special teams the whole season, and yesterday, I believe he was.
And now they suddenly want to plop him into Lambeau?
Yeah,
what was the thought process?
Well, the
there?
thought process is that the Packers have issues with their defense of the rush. They were not one of the better teams in the league for defending the running attack.
Then why did they run the ball more?
But then they didn't. They went away from it because they got behind, and that, to me, that I just don't get that.
I don't get that either.
Unless he's trying to, there are a lot of people out there who believe that everything is a conspiracy and that Bill
Michael
Belichick.
Felger.
That's right, and Bill Belichick is just setting the Packers up for February in the Super Bowl.
Michael Felger.
That doesn't
Tony
happen in
Maserati.
sport, Mike. Okay, it just doesn't happen.
Well,
but
the thing with the run game is...
Sorry, it does.
I guess with the Patriots is they like to bring a bunch of, no-name running backs and make them superstars. We saw with the Indianapolis game in Jonas Gray. You saw
Who?
that. Jonas Gray.
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
that kid.
The
I
cover
remember
boy
him.
who sat on the sidelines for the entire game against the Lions. Yeah, him. Yeah.
The guy who was
And
on
then-
Sports Illustrated then slept through practice. That guy.
That guy. Yeah.
And then
Oops.
last week against the Lions, LeGarrette Blount ran off. He had a monster game like he did in the playoffs last year, and now they're trying to do the same thing with Brandon Bolden. And I don't think Brandon Bolden is a LeGarrette Blount or even a Jonas Gray. So
Well,
I don't know the mindset with Brandon Bolden, but I just don't think he's on the top of the depth chart for the Patriots.
It did make sense. He had his average, and he did score a touchdown in yesterday's game.
He did have a good run. I'll give it to him.
Three carries for 17 yards and a long of 12, which I believe was his touchdown run. And LeGarrette Blount, a 5.8 average, 10 carries, 58 yards. I mean, it's a lot easier. And I know I said this to the television. It's funny, the television didn't talk back to me. But I'm like, why just keep handing the ball off to the guy until they stop you? I mean, to me, that's basic football 101. I don't get why. I think I know why. Because when they get behind, they play and they call different plays. They get a little bit too desperate before they need to. But look at how fast they put up 21 points in 23 minutes, guys. That's efficient scoring, and we all see that they can do that, but they get into that panic mode, I think, far too quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Because early on with Blunt, they were doing great. They were shoving it right down the Packers' throats. Why not? If it was working, why not keep doing
it going. If
Yeah.
it ain't broke,
Don't
running
fix it.
Right? Don't fix it. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
But we're not discrediting the Packers' defense. Their defense played spectacular.
I think they did very well, but I wouldn't say spectacular. I mean, they gave up. The Patriots did not perform at the level that they've been performing at. Therefore, the Packers' defense did play well.
Yeah, but with
You know
the
what
Patriots,
the best way is to keep the Patriots' offense, though? Keep them off the field. That's what they did. They
They did a
controlled
great
the
job of
ball
that.
with
Yeah.
36 out of 60 minutes of a game. That's brilliant.
Yeah, but the Patriots these are the top 2 scoring teams in the NFL with just over 30 points. They held the Patriots to 21. They only gave up 3 touchdowns, and I will say it was in a span of like 23 and a half minutes. The defense played great yesterday. All right, so I'm giving total credit to the Packers. They had a great game.
Who's a better quarterback, Brady or Rodgers? Come on,
Well,
guys.
it's too early to determine for Rodgers.
Well, who was a better quarterback yesterday?
Well, yesterday it was Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers.
All right, that's all
I'm
you
not
can
going
go
to
on.
say overall.
All right, you happy now,
but
Green Bay Packer
Aaron-
fan?
Yeah, Jamie, are you
Yeah,
happy
happy
now?
Brady's old, Rodgers young. What do you want?
That's really it. Rodgers is 30 years old, right?
28, 29?
No, he's 30.
Whatever.
He's 30.
Whatever,
You can look
cheesehead.
it up because I saw it today. Therefore, and then again, you never know with my brain. But I think that he has all the tools, and the tool that he has that Tom Brady doesn't have is the ability to run out
Yes.
of
Yes.
trouble.
Yeah, he had a ton of
Not
running
just
yards.
move out of trouble, but
Run.
run out of trouble. And look at the sacks here for a minute, too, because the Patriots only lost 9 yards with 1 sack. It came obviously at the worst time it could
Yeah.
come, which was the last possession. And they did get to Rodgers 3 times for 20 yards, but 3 sacks for 20 yards. But I got to tell you, oh look, we got Jason Siegel calling us now.
Jason
All right,
Siegel.
so-
I'll get it established. Here.
The professor.
All right, hang on. Let's see. Hello. Hang on. Obviously, I picked the wrong earpiece. Jason, you there?
Yeah, hi Jimmy.
Oh, there you go. You got to say hi. That helps me out. That way I know which earpiece I have in. How you feeling? You okay?
Yep.
All right, one of our
Yeah,
regulars,
okay.
Jason Siegel, is on the phone with us now from Natick, Massachusetts. I'm going to pass this over to Joe and Tom, who are here. And Jason, I know we're interested to hear your analysis of yesterday's Packers-Patriots game, too.
All right.
All right, so Jason, it's good to talk to you here with Tom, and we were just talking briefly about the Patriots-Packers games. Our producer Jamie has been raving about how the Packers beat the Patriots while it was at Lambeau Field. Just to let you know, what was your takeaways from Packers-Patriots?
Well, I think the Packers definitely deserved to win that game, and I think the key really was up front. Aaron Rodgers, he had enough time to write an essay, it seemed. Brady, on almost every drop back, it felt like he was getting pressured and was looking over his shoulder. So I think up front, the offensive and defensive line was definitely key in the Packers' win.
Did you count the seconds, the 12-second drop back? I was like, how much time does he have? 1,000, 2, 1,000,
3 Mississippi.
It got up to 12, but did not complete the pass.
Right, yeah, I mean, the Patriots' defensive backs were able to cover the receivers, but the defensive line could not get to Rodgers, and he had a couple scrambles. He had 5 carries for 22 yards. He had the scramble for the first down. While Brady, he was only sacked once in the fourth quarter, but it just felt like he was looking over his shoulder and did not seem to have enough time to find his receivers.
Would you give credit to the Packers offense, or are you disparaging the Patriots secondary? Because it seems like the Packers were just taking control, 36 minutes of possession. What was your takeaway from Packers offense?
Yeah, I mean, the Packers, they were a very explosive offense. I mean, they were able to limit Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson somewhat, but then Devontae Adams, the rookie, so it was sort of like the Patriots, though. If you're able to shut down one, then they seem to have another player that can burn the other team. It was like that yesterday for the Packers.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself.
You know,
Devontae
Jason,
Adams.
Jason, this is Tom. How you doing?
Good, Tom. How are you?
Good. We just asked this question a few minutes before you called, and we all came to a consensus. I want to see if you can answer correctly.
What's the question?
So the question is, who was better last night, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
I think Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
was better because,
Correct.
as I
Good for
mentioned,
you.
Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson were covered pretty well, but he was still able to find, and he trusted a rookie in Devontae Adams. But as I said before, I felt like Rodgers had more time to throw. But then again, also part of that was he was able to elude pass rushers and run for first down. So that threat was also part of the reason that he wasn't pressured most of the game. So I definitely give the edge to Rodgers yesterday.
Yeah, and we were also talking about how it was Lambeau Field and the Packers are 6-0 at home. Do you think it would have been a different game if it was maybe at Gillette?
Well, I don't know if Green Bay would have been a different team, but I think the Patriots are certainly a different team at Gillette, so I think it would have been a different story had the Patriots been at home, but I think that would have been more the Patriots' offense clicking, not so much the hindering of the Green Bay offense.
And one thing I pointed out, Jason, to everybody is the Patriots play so much better when they have a lead. They're a completely different team. I really believe they got away from the run and panicked with more passing emphasis than running emphasis.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots only ran the ball 18 times as opposed to 35 passing attempts, but I think the Patriots also knew the Packers had a really explosive offense, and I think they felt like passing the ball was really the only way that they could keep up with them. Although, on the flip side, if you're supporting the run, you could also say running the ball would have kept the Packers off the field. But I think the Patriots and the offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, just felt that they had to throw to keep up with Rodgers.
All right, and obviously you know the hype that this was a possible Super Bowl preview between the Packers and Patriots. I'm going to ask the big question to you, Jason. Do you think we will see a rematch in Arizona for Super Bowl 49 between these two teams?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that. Could you repeat it?
Do you think, there was so much hype about this being a Super Bowl preview. Do you think these two teams will meet in the Super Bowl?
I do think so. I think Arizona, with the injury of Carson Palmer, they've lost 2 straight games. The Seattle Seahawks, they have looked better, but they still have struggled on the road. Of course, they did win in San Francisco. And in the AFC, I think the Patriots are going to be able to hold on and get the championship game at home, and because of that, I think they're going to be able to win, presumably beat the Denver Broncos, because they beat the Kansas City Chiefs last night. So yes, I think this could definitely be a Super Bowl matchup.
Wow, so there it is. Big prediction.
And I'm on the same boat as you, Jason, so beware. I don't think you should dismiss the Seattle Seahawks because of all the teams in the NFC, they have the ability and the talent to go into Green Bay and walk out of there with a win because, as you know, a defense can shut down a powerful offense.
Right, but I think they still do have their struggles on the road, and their defense hasn't been as good this year as it was last year. And I think just with how good Rodgers and Eddie Lacy has been, I think even with Seattle's defense, I think Green Bay still wins against Seattle, especially in a home game for Green Bay.
All right. Any other notes you'd like to throw in about the NFL?
Want to get your Mets report in?
You want to get your Mets report in?
Yeah, your New York Metropolitans.
Well, not much has really happened with the Mets. We've already talked about Michael Kadire getting signed to a 2-year, $21 million contract. But other than that, not much has happened for them.
And the Red Sox have been very quiet in the offseason.
I haven't heard any.
Only a couple minor signings.
They still haven't
We'll
signed
get to
a
that
pitcher
later
yet.
in the show.
That's all right. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to go through the NFL next. Jason, hopefully you'll feel better and you'll join us back here at the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham next week.
I certainly hope so. Great show, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks
Jason.
for joining us.
All right. That's good. What, 2
All right.
calls? I
Well,
like
that's
Is
the
that a
sports
calls,
professor
one
right
shows.
there. That's our sports professor.
Siegel.
All right, keep going. What's next, Joe? NFL roundup.
So we're going to do a little NFL roundup.
All right,
we're
let's
going to
do
go around the league. We're going to see how teams did. And Tom, you're going to kick it off for us.
Okay, the mighty AFC North leading Cincinnati Bengals just barely squeaked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the greatest of opponents, 14-13. And Tampa Bay only lost because they were thrown out of field goal range because of a 12-men on the field penalty. You believe that?
That's crazy. And this is the AFC North leading Bengals, as you mentioned.
The mighty Bengals.
The funny thing about this is that they were the only AFC North team to win.
Yeah.
The Browns lost, which we'll get to later. We'll get to all the other AFC North opponents later. But basically, the Bengals now control their own fate with that win. Even though it was close, they do control their own fate.
Barely beat the Bucks.
Yeah, so next we're going to move on to what I think is one of the more exciting games of the day.
Oh, yeah.
The San Diego Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. It was Phillip Rivers throwing a 1-yard pass to Eddie Royal, 8 seconds left, that lifted the Chargers over the Ravens. It was a very, very great game between these two. Phillip Rivers, 383 yards for 3 touchdowns and a pick. Joe Flacco, not the best of games, 225 for 2 touchdowns. Justin Tucker really keeping the Ravens in with their field goals. He had 4 field goals inside of 35 yards. So, San Diego just squeaking by the Ravens.
Okay, now the next one, Sam was supposed to do. And no Sam. So
why don't you take it from me?
I'll take it. So the Saints edge the Pittsburgh Steelers 35-32.
Oh, those Steelers.
Drew Brees threw for 5 touchdowns for the 9th time in his career. I wasn't prepared, people. Sorry.
Live TV.
No, this is live. The Steelers kept Jimmy Graham, the tight end.
Yeah, he didn't have a single target.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham did not have a single target. That shows you how great that Steelers defense will be when they perform, because they kept it close. And I will say, Drew Brees, good for you. You helped me win fantasy. I'm proud for you. But this is so funny because the New Orleans Saints, we always talk about them, how they're so unbeatable at home and how they stink on the road. It's almost like a role reversal, and now they control their own fate in the NFC South.
And Ben Roethlisberger wasn't horrible. He threw for 435 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is great. But he also threw 2 picks.
Yeah, it's, again, probably one of the more inconsistent teams in the NFL is
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. And I believe you got the next game as well.
Oh, yeah, Bills-Browns, another exciting game. So the Bills...
Doesn't look like that from the score.
Yeah. I was being sarcastic, Joe.
All right, I got you.
The Bills beat the Cleveland Browns 26-10. Kyle Orton and defensive end Jerry Hughes scored touchdowns 10 seconds apart in the third quarter for the host Bills. What else is interesting from this game?
Here, while you're filling your time, I'm going to point out 2 things.
Yeah, okay.
Number 1 is that we finally saw Johnny Football. He took over in the 4th quarter for Brian Hoyer. Many people are believing that it's Johnny Football time in Cleveland because the Browns have been struggling with Brian Hoyer. 6 interceptions, I believe, in the past few weeks. It hasn't looked good for Hoyer. Coach Mike Pettin said the decision will come Wednesday. So we're going to see if it's either Brian Hoyer, he's going to stick with him, or if it's going to be Johnny Football time.
We're going to see. All right, next.
Well, another thing I'd like to mention is...
All right, go ahead.
A few months ago, when we were at the You Are Business Network, I made a bold prediction saying, do not sleep on the Buffalo Bills. They are currently 7-5, second in the AFC East. Do I need to explain it anymore?
No, you do not, sir.
You guys were saying, hey, you're crazy with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, we were laughing at you.
You were laughing at me, and look where they are now at 7-5. I told you not to sleep on the Buffalo Bills.
All right, so we already did Packers-Patriots for a little while, so we can skip
and
that.
Next we're going to move on to the Broncos and the Chiefs.
All right, take it away, Mr. Braverman.
All right, that was a big AFC West matchup between those two teams. Many people believe the Chiefs would come away with the win just because it's at night and it's in Arrowhead. But the Broncos did prevail on a ton of field goals from their newest pickup, Connor Barth. He made 5 field goals that were inside the 40-yard mark. And Peyton Manning, not really Peyton Manning numbers. He only threw for 179 yards.
Really?
That's how good. That's how, the stifling Kansas City defense. Everyone talks about that. And then, of course, on the other side, you got Alex Smith, who went for 153, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And funny thing with the run game is Jamal Charles. Everyone knows he is probably one of the best backs in the league today. He only rushed 10 times for 35 yards.
Really?
Yeah. And then, on the other side, for the Broncos, a no-name to enter the season, C.J. Anderson, 32 rush attempts for 168 yards. That looks like the breakout game of the year.
Oh, definitely. Now, another Sam game, Colts-Redskins. Do you want to take this one?
All right, I'll take this one. It's Colts-Redskins. Andrew Luck continuing the role of dominant for the Indianapolis Colts. They are still leading the AFC South. And for the Redskins, it was a little experiment to see how Colt McCoy did. This is his first game that he took over for RG3. He did play in games in the past, but Coach Jay Gruden made the decision how it was Colt McCoy's time, and he did fairly well as their quarterback, but still not enough for the Colts. And now we're going to move on to the Cardinals and the Falcons. It looks like the Cardinals are starting to come back down to earth.
Julio Jones had an okay game. An okay game.
He had a pretty good game. Only 10 receptions for 189 yards.
Not bad.
Yeah, and Matt Ryan also had a good game. 30 for 41, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And as I mentioned, Cardinals starting to come down to earth. They're 9-3. They were at the top of the AFC or the NFC, excuse me, top of the NFC, number 1 seed. Now I think they may be slowly declining, and this is going to be my big prediction. I don't think the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah, with 9-3, they're coming to earth.
I'm going to hold you to that.
You can't make a big run into the playoffs with Drew Stanton. The only way I see them getting into the playoffs is because of their hot start with Carson Palmer.
All right, now we're going to move on to the Texans and Titans. This one was won by the Houston Texans, 45-21. I always get the close games in these things.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? So Ryan Fitzpatrick,
of course, Houston, career day.
threw for a franchise record 6 touchdowns, and DeAndre Hopkins had a career best 238 yards receiving with 2 scores.
Once again, thank you, DeAndre Hopkins, helping me win fantasy. But continue.
And this was Fitzpatrick's first game back after being replaced by Ryan Mallett.
Yeah, he got benched for Ryan Mallett, who was of the Patriots.
Who gets benched for Ryan Mallett?
Hey, Ryan Mallett is pretty good. He came out of college ready to go.
Okay.
And pick him up. But of course, the big story. The big defensive end. Why don't you tell us all about J.J. Watt?
J.J. Watt helped out with his 3rd touchdown receptions, 2 sacks, and he forced and recovered a fumble for Houston, who are now 6-6.
And what's funny about this is I was looking at a stat on ESPN on the SportsCenter app. You should get it. It's very great. J.J. Watt has more touchdowns than Kansas City receivers combined. That is saying a lot. But the Chiefs are still at 7-5. But this just goes to show. I think J.J. Watt's my MVP vote because he's an all-around player.
Yeah.
He fit in the Mike he fit in the Mike Vrabel package of the Patriots in the past, and also one of the best D linemen out there.
So we're gonna move on to yet
another
blowout close game.
Another blowout.
The Rams 52, the Raiders diddly squat.
52-0.
Would
Would you expect anything else from the Oakland Raiders?
No,
it just
not
seems
really.
like, hey, they did win a game. They won a game.
They won a game. That was the high point of their season, I think. So,
but just tell us all about
do we
St. Louis.
need to talk about this?
Trey Mason, great game.
Trey Mason scored 2 long touchdowns, and Sean Hill accounted for 3 touchdowns in the route. Isn't that all she wrote?
It's pretty much. So next one is Vikings-Panthers. I'll take this one. 2 return block punts, 4 touchdowns. That's only the 5th time in NFL history that one team had 2 of those in the same game. And of course, Teddy Bridgewater throwing for 2 touchdowns.
Yep, absolutely.
He did not throw a turnover. Very good. And Griffin had 2 of the 4 sacks by the Vikings against Cam Newton. It's basically Cam Newton and the Panthers once again coming back down to earth. They're, I believe, 3-8-1. Yes, they are 3-8-1. And they're 0-4 under Coach Rivera following their annual in-season week off, which is the bye week, if we're gonna get real simple. And you almost gotta feel that the Panthers, Cam Newton is struggling because he has no weapons from last year. Brandon LaFell on the Patriots. They picked up Jason Avant, Steve Smith, currently with Baltimore. So Panthers have been struggling. And the final game we're gonna bring you about
Jags-Giants
is the Jacksonville Jaguars. More of the surprising games. The Jaguars coming out 25-24. That just basically sums up the season for the Giants, that they cannot win at all. And It was Josh Scobie with a game-winning 43-yard field goal with 28 seconds left, and this was after the Jaguars were down 21-0. So great win by the Jaguars, puts them at 2-10, and the Giants fall to 3-9. You know, it's just not that year for the Giants, don't you think?
You know, usually the Giants have a good year once every 4 years. They get in as wild card team and they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That's what they do.
Yeah,
They get the Pats, they beat them.
All right, so that's your NFL roundup, and now we're gonna move over to. We're just gonna look more news in the NFL.
Okay.
Ray Rice, that's probably one of the bigger topics. Ray Rice, he won his appeal. He's now currently a free agent, and reports are going around that there are 4 teams interested in him, but 2 of them are not too serious: the Indianapolis Colts and the New Orleans Saints, who do need running attacks. So it's kind of funny to see that they don't go after Ray Rice. What's your opinion on Ray Rice? Do you think he should be allowed back to, he won his appeal for an indefinite suspension?
Yes, it is his right to play, but if you're an NFL team, why would you? It's horrible PR.
Well,
why would you?
The thing
it makes you look terrible.
Well, the thing is, in our world, we believe in second chances.
We
Ray
gave
Rice,
Michael Vick a second chance. I know.
Exactly. With Ray Rice, this would be a lot different if he had more scandals like this. This was the first time he's ever been involved in a domestic violence scandal. This is, we haven't heard about drug policies or any other domestic violence. So, I'm giving Ray Rice a second chance. I don't think he finds a team this year, but when free agency comes for 2015, there are going to be teams that are looking for him because he is a pretty good running back.
Fair enough, Joe. Fair enough.
And of course, the other big story was the St. Louis Rams showing their respect to Ferguson. They put their hands up, saying, don't shoot. So, and the NFL said they are not going to discipline the St. Louis Rams or those 5 players, but there have been authorities in Ferguson who are saying that they want some repercussions for these Rams. Do you think there should be repercussions?
No, they were just showing their support for a very touchy issue going on right now.
Yeah, it's not good in the world. So now we're going to move on. I think we're done with the NFL for now, and we're going to move on to the Bruins and the NHL Roundup. So I don't really have to set it up. Tom, give us the news.
The Boston Bruins have been playing just downright awful of late. On Friday, Black Friday, I was lucky enough to get tickets to go to the game. We were in the nosebleeds, of course, because they jacked up ticket prices. But
what did you see?
They won 2-1 in overtime. But the entire game, they were deplorable. The Bruins without David Krejci and Zdeno Chara at the same time is a nightmare. First, without David Krejci on the power play in the offensive zone, they are one and done, meaning that they get over the blue line, take one shot from the outside, the other team gets the puck, clears it out, that's it.
Yeah, would you say the biggest thing right now, the problem for the Bruins is their defense, because, their big man, Zdeno Chara, is out. David Krejci, of course, their center.
And they have all of these young guys from the Providence Bruins. Basically, most of their blue line,
but do you think
Morrow and all those guys.
But do you think the Bruins can rebound from this and still get a top seed in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think they can rebound. The question is, once they get Chara and Krejci back to 100%, which we don't know when that's going to be, because Krejci has been on and off this year. He's come back and played a game, then missed the next 4. This has been a reoccurring thing all season long with him so far.
Yeah, I think both of us know that the Bruins will make the playoffs probably.
I think they will. Right now, I think they're a 7 or 8. They have either the first or the second wild card spot. If they can keep that until they get those 2 players back 100% healthy.
Yeah, and I think what I was going to say.
And then go on a run in March.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for right now.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, we know they're going to make the playoffs. Question is, where are they? I think the biggest thing right now is don't rush Chara. Don't rush Krejci. Because you're going to make the playoffs, and when you have them full at 100%, you can play your best hockey and get back into one of those top 4 seeds so you can get home ice.
Home ice in the NHL isn't that big of a deal like it is in other sports. So I'm totally cool with the Bruins that are as a 7 or 8 seed. It really, in the NHL, home advantage it's not really that significant, unless you're the Montreal Canadiens or Chicago Blackhawks.
All right. Well, Jimmy's joined us back at
Jimmy.
the table.
I'm back.
Hi, Jimmy.
I was listening to you guys. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
With all
Yeah.
the analysis and all the different things. And
Thank you. And we still got more.
about the Bruins. Well, have we talked about the Red Sox yet?
We are
we
going to
haven't.
get to them.
Let's get to them because
Yeah,
I'm
so-
interested
There are a couple
to
big
hear.
signings, right?
Yeah, let me ask you right off the bat. Are you happy that they spent this kind of money on players as opposed to pitchers?
You know what? With
You know
me,
what?
I'm not a fan of long-term deals. I don't. Players have to earn it. You don't. You have to be put in the category of greatest of all time. I would give that money to maybe Babe Ruth or Cy Young. I wouldn't give it.
I don't think they're very good right now, though.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty much over the
Aren't
hill.
these moves
Yeah.
by the Red Sox sort of hypocritical? Because last year, remember how they're going on and on about
Fiscal responsibility?
fiscal responsibility, and then they go blow all this money on Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez.
Well, I think they tried to do it one way, got lucky in 2013. Let's face
And
it,
then-
luck plays a huge role. And, and now, of course, they're trying to make up for that. They should not be fiscal conservatives. They really should be big spenders
They're like
because they make a lot of money.
Last year, they were acting like they were Kansas City.
Right.
No, you're Boston.
Actually,
Stop
Kansas City
it.
was in the World Series. It wouldn't have been such a bad thing. And they have better pitching.
Yeah.
And that's really, let me put you
Well-
this way. If the Red Sox are able to sign John Lester, get him back. And by the way, very few people a lot of people thought I was crazy for me saying that. I don't think that it is still outside the realm of possibility. Especially now that we know the kind of money that they're throwing around. It's really going to be up to John Lester whether he wants to go to, I think it's going to be Chicago
With
or
Theo.
Boston. With Theo, I do, with Joe Madden.
I
think it's going to be
totally
those two
agree.
teams.
I totally agree. Even though Lester's meeting with San Francisco this week, I don't think he's going to go there.
They don't need more pitching.
And to go back to the signings, I'm very happy to get for the Sox to get Pablo Sandoval. Their third baseman in 2014 were struggling. They found Brock Holt, but when they got Will Middlebrooks back, they sort of used
He's done.
They
He's done.
used
He's
Brock
gone.
Holt like a chess piece. They put him everywhere.
Which is a great player to have on your roster.
Yes.
But not as a starter, not someone that you
He's
can.
a good utility man.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And now to put on with Hanley, I like these deals because they're not only built for 2014, they're built for the future. Because when David Ortiz retires, which I believe is in the
And
next
your
2
DH
years,
will be Pablo Sandoval.
your DH will be Pablo Sandoval, and then you
Or
can
Hanley
move,
Ramirez.
and then you can move Hanley Ramirez to third base. Now the question is
Where do you play Hanley Ramirez?
yeah, with the
this year?
2015 season.
Left field?
Yeah, they are talking about
Well,
moving him
Manny
to left
played
field.
left field, so why can't Hanley?
Yeah,
That'd be so
I mean,
funny. Will they give him
which
24? That's the other thing I was thinking of.
That'd be great.
But with Hanley
Hanley being
Ramirez,
Hanley.
when you with him saying he's going to the outfield, you're already loaded up outfielders: Victorino, Cespedes,
Right.
Castillo, Nava. So you got to think that one of those outfielders in that list I just mentioned will be traded, and everyone's pointing towards Yoenis Cespedes, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest name thrown out there because they can get a good player for him. I think
He's
pitching.
got 1 year left
yeah.
on his contract, so he's very
Yeah.
easily tradable.
Yes.
You know what you're going to get, although
Yeah,
you can, try to
you can
sign
get
him.
You can get them for pitching, and basically to summarize with these deals, they're good deals, but when they get pitching, I will be satisfied.
As long as it's, I'll tell you what, they better get a number 1 or a 1A pitcher because right now they just don't have it in what they have coming
They want
back.
Clay
And that-
Buchholz to be
and
your number
guys
one?
knows, I am not ready for Clay Buchholz to
No.
be my number 1 pitcher. Even though, once again, I read another report by a National League scout. Man, he's got some great stuff. He's had great stuff for 5 years. He does have tremendous.
When he's not injured.
But when he's not injured,
had
he needs
spurts.
to beef up. He needs to beef up and strengthen up and be able to go the whole season.
Yeah,
But
so
guys, you've done a great job today.
Thank you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
as usual.
Yeah.
And I think we're
As
about
usual.
wrapping up the K Sports segment of this show.
Okay.
All right.
Jimmy's
Jimmy
coming up.
The Jimmies are coming up. Mr. Myers has
Fine
been warming up in the
program. Stay
bullpen.
tuned.
He's
Yes.
all dressed to the nines tonight,
Yes.
and I'm more dressed for the sixes, but that's another story.
And I would like to say before we end, so we can get our Celtics.
Yeah.
We can
Who?
get our Celtics.
I'm going
Celtics.
Wednesday night.
They're four.
Oh, nice.
They're 4-10. They're 28th in points allowed. Basically, what I want to summarize is November was probably the toughest month of the schedule. I'm glad they got through it. because they lost to championship caliber teams.
Uh-huh.
But there, two things: their defense needs to pick up, and they need to finish games because they have blown games left and right. Cleveland, Chicago, OKC. They've had so many games that they could have won but couldn't. Their
fact that-
defense needs to pick up.
Correct. And the fact that they've missed a rookie in the lineup, Marcus Smart, after he got hurt,
Well,
scares
Smart is
me.
one of the best defenders out there.
Scares me going forward because they'll need all hands on deck. That's what I think for the rest of the season.
Are you basically discrediting Marcus Smart? Marcus Smart is
No,
a
I'm
good
not.
player.
I want to see Marcus Smart play.
Yeah.
I want him to be healthy, though.
Yes.
And I want to see what kind of impact he can have on both ends of the floor. But it's going to be a long season for the Celtics. But I will be wearing my green on Wednesday.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have not seen them in quite a while, and be sitting in some nice seats. So hopefully I'll get a good view of the game, and I'm looking
Nice.
forward to it.
All right.
Because I am still a fan, you know? All right, Joe, you can wrap
All
it
right,
up
so
and,
that will
tease,
do it.
and tease the Jimmies.
All right, well, that will do it for K Sports here at Knobscott Cafe
On a
in
Monday.
Framingham, Massachusetts. We gotta thank Jamie for
Oh,
getting.
no, we don't.
No, we don't. Packer
We
fan,
gotta thank.
cheesehead.
No, we gotta thank the Packers fan
Packers fan.
For throwing
putting,
this thing.
for putting K Sports together, and of course he'll help the Jimmies with Jimmy's coming up. And Tom, great job as usual
Oh,
for Tom
thank you
Kelly.
very much, Joe.
Jimmy Young, I'm Joe Raymond. Stay tuned for the Jimmy's Sports Talk coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Very good. I'm Jimmy Young, along with Jimmy Myers. Say hello, Jimmy.
I'm still here.
I know, you can say hello, Jimmy.
Hello, Jimmy. How are you?
Good, how are you, Jimmy?
It's wonderful to see you, Jimmy.
Nice to see you too, Jimmy.
No. You can say yeah all you want. No. Because
does that say that?
Objective, he's supposed to be objective.
He's a network
His job
president.
is
What-
a network.
He's not a journalist. He's not a journalist. He's a businessman.
To me, ladies and gentlemen, it was wrong. He does not belong there. Now you can argue all you want.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
don't. We have to go back and forth. It's going to be an
Go
argument.
ahead.
That you almost become that person vicariously while you're writing it.
This is not going to be the stuff you're going to hear on your local radio station.
All right.
You're a legend, kid. I had the show.
He is totally a legend, and I'm so that he is not the only person that is saying you're suspended for this many games, you're suspended for that many games.
All I have to do is stay black and look good. That's all I got to do.
Brilliant
It's
minds.
still going to come down by the defense. And Tom Jackson.
We watch our Pats games here. I've watched Celtics NBA playoff games. I was here when the Bruins won the cup. I was in this place when the Bruins won the cup in 11. We had a great time.
This camera and wrap it up.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Jimmy Sports Talk, live streaming on YouTube from the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. For Jimmy Young, Jimmy Myers, I'm Joe Berryman, and sorry to steal your line. That's what it is in sports.
Oh, I love it. Well done, Joe. Terrific job. Oh, hey, how are you? Am I on the right camera? Is this the camera or is that this is the camera? Hi there, how are you? Welcome to the Knobscott
Live
Cafe.
television.
That's right. Welcome to the Knobscott Cafe in Framingham, Massachusetts. I'm Jimmy Young, along with...
I'm Jimmy Myers.
And it's the Jimmy Sports Talk Show here every Monday night from 6:30 to 8:30. And we welcome your comments, we welcome your subscriptions, your likes, your friends, all those neat things that we ask you to do in social media. A lot to talk about today. We've got a few guests that might be calling in a little bit later on, and that ought to be fun. In fact, we might even have Dan Leibowitz from the Center for the Study of Sport and Society in Northeastern drop in. He lives in the area. I called him and talked to him briefly today because, as you know, Jimmy, never a dull moment in this country. And once again, with Ray Rice back in the news, with the St. Louis Rams coming out yesterday with their hands up, it seems that race is playing another role in sport. We see it week in and week out. It's not surprising to me, and I know it's not surprising to you.
Well, it's not, because for years I've been saying this, and you get persecuted for talking about race or whatever, and you just... it's a part of our everyday life. It's not going to stop. The bottom line factor is two factors in America dictate our lives on a day-to-day basis. It's race and money. And unfortunately, those two things constantly find their way into our existence on a day-to-day basis. But I would like to, I'd more or less like to take a serious note at first to talk about my partner and a loss that he suffered, because to me that takes a lot more precedent over the foolish things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. Jimmy Young, we missed doing this show last Monday because Jimmy Young lost his dad. And for any of you out there who've lost a parent, I don't have to tell you what that feeling is like. David spent a lot of years battling cancer, and in the end, he was a fighter. I met the man, got to know him, know his son better than I know him, and I know it's a very difficult time for you. So tonight we dedicate this show to your dad.
I like that.
Because he's been on the air with us before.
Yes, he does. In fact, back in the day, he
yep.
called a show when I was on New England Cable News. When he was watching from Sarasota, Florida, he'd go to a sports bar and he'd ask the guy to adjust the satellite, because New England Cable News was distributed via satellite back then. He calls in, and his moniker was the Chief was calling from Sarasota, Florida. So that would be the name call, and my producer, hey, the Chief's on the line. Oh, great. We bring him on. We talk about whatever we talk about. 2 calls later, I called. And George Steinbrenner had a great line. He goes, hey, if that guy could be the Chief, I'm the boss. And I go, you're Bruce Springsteen? And he said, no, I'm not Bruce Springsteen. I'm George Steinbrenner.
I'm just George Steinbrenner, exactly.
The boss of the South Bronx. I go, I'm going to have to give you a quiz, Mr. Steinbrenner. And because I knew he was on the U.S. Olympic Committee.
Yep.
And you never know. People call these shows with no delay, no screening. You never know who's going to call and who's going to watch, right? Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, do you know who Paul George is? And he said, oh, you mean the Olympic Committee member that lives in Wellesley, Massachusetts? I go, okay, George, how are you? Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, you're a boss. You're definitely
the
a boss. If you know that, you're a boss. But getting back to your dad for a second.
Yeah.
The specter of death, ladies and gentlemen, is always the most difficult part of life. We all are going to pass that specter. We all are going to leave here. Nobody comes here and gets to stay permanently. Jesus Christ didn't even get to come and stay permanently. He was only here 33 years. But more importantly, it's the effect that the people who leave this world and leave you behind leave within you. What are some of the things you're going to remember about your dad?
Well, he taught me how to throw a baseball and how to hold a golf club and swing the golf club. And that's one of the things. But what I really learned from him, he was a great role model. He taught me how to be a friend. You know, my dad was known as the nicest guy in the world. This is what his obit said. I wrote his obit and talked about it at his funeral and at the graveside service. And I can't tell you how many times, because the family's business was right next to Fenway Park. M. Brown Office Furniture was right next to Fenway Park at 126 Brookline Ave for many years, as well as Discount Office Furniture next door at 120. And I can't tell you how many times I run into people who knew my dad would come up to me and go, "You're David Young's son?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm David Young's son." He's the nicest guy in the world.
So see, he was much more famous before you.
Oh, no question about it. And his reputation, my dad, was much better. But I live up to that. I try to do that every single day. And people always say, "Oh, you love everybody, Jimmy. Oh, they make." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I like all people, as you know. I embrace everyone, and I try and develop my relationship around something I might have in common with them, even though they may be different from me." And that's what I try to. And he gave me that, absolutely. He also gave me Tufts University. Needless to say, that led to a certain internship, which led to meeting you in 1977. And the dean of Tufts University came to the house on Friday. The dean of Tufts Arts and Sciences, Jim Glazier. He had met my dad 6 months ago. And, you know, we're a 3-generation Tufts University family. My father went class of 45, my brother 74, my sister-in-law 76, myself 79, my niece Emily, Mark's daughter, class of 2003. So we had three generations.
So we're not changing it to Tufts-Young University.
No.
It's just Tufts University.
They are the Jumbos.
Okay.
And we are very proud.
I
are very proud we are a Jumbos family.
I want to make sure.
Absolutely. And so, you know, it's part of life. It's been a tough week. Woo! Very tough week. But I will say this, and we'll link this back to sports. When my brother told my dad the score of the Patriots-Lions game, it was the last time he smiled. Last Sunday. So that gives you an idea. Because he was in a hospice for many days, actually, and I don't know if anybody's ever gone through it. It's just it's an incredible experience.
Many of us have, but the thing I think I'd want to ask you more than anything is, I would say it's a blessing, but you were there at the final moments, and I know it's very painful for you, and I know, but our audience needs to know these things about you. Tell me about the final hours and the final moments.
Well, there's another story here that lends it, and it's gonna be tough for me to get it out.
Take your time. Take your time, baby. Don't take your time. It's all right, man. It's all right, because we all have to go through this, Jimmy. I've been through it. Believe me, I've been through it. And you find a way. You find a way to get through it.
What are you doing here? That's just not want to talk to you.
Yeah. She a good woman knows. She knew this was needed.
That's too funny, though. I was just about to tell the story. So Donna, just my significant other, fiance, best thing that ever happened to me in my life. You can sit down, actually, honey.
Well, try pulling her chair out.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. You haven't forgot your manners.
Totally
Don't worry,
flustered.
Donna. We're working on him.
Totally flustered by this. Anyway, so it was 9:30 Monday night, and we were talking about my dad's companion, not my mom, but he had a companion after mom passed, and Rosalie was a nice woman. She had some challenges. And I can say this, I guess. She was a little bit off, if you will, but she was in her 80s, and who in their 80s isn't off? Or as my dad used to say, everybody has something in their 80s. And there's a funny story that I made kind of a fool of myself in front of Rosalie. Would you say that's accurate? Yes, because Donna was there. And I called Rosalie.
And Donna's going, oh, God, Jimmy, not now.
My dad was not well a couple of times in Florida, and sure enough, I said to her, you know, Rosalie, I said, you know, when Dad's not feeling well, you got to call me, you know, because I'll come down here in a minute. After all, you're no spring chicken.
Oh, no. No.
See, I guess-
no, you didn't say that.
I did
you
say
didn't
it.
say that to a woman. Did you say that to a woman?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And Miss Donna was there, and her jaw hit the ground, needless to say, and she tells the story so much better.
Thank you.
So rather than me
Thank
telling
God
that
you were
story,
there without getting him shot.
so God, so without me telling that story, I handed the phone over to Mark. Donna told the story, and he starts laughing uncontrollably, like I haven't seen my brother laugh like this. His sides hurt, and then I started laughing, and 10 minutes later, my dad passed. So it was like he had heard us happy.
Yep.
What are you doing here? How did you know this? Were you put up to this, or did you just come on your own? Oh.
She doesn't need an invite. She can just come whenever she wants. It's wonderful to see you. By the way. Thank you.
But at the moment, I mean, really, that I'm about to talk about you?
It's called enter proper stage left. Well, it was to your right, so it's enter stage left.
Unbelievable. I'm thrilled to see you. Hi, honey.
Do I get to eat it on?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure they know. This is Jamie.
Get whatever you want.
This is Jamie. This is Donna.
Whatever you want.
Yes. Don't have any lobster because usually they save them for me. No, I'm only kidding. I know you well enough to know. You can have whatever you'd like. They have a good little burger, but they also you take home shrimp scampi, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So, I mean, they have good Italian. They may even have spaghetti and meatballs that you might like because I know that's your favorite meal. I can't believe you show up here. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. It's okay.
That's all right.
I can't believe we're live on the internet. This is going to be recorded forever now?
Yes.
Oh, my
Good.
God.
Good. Keep those recorders going out there, ladies and gentlemen. But
yeah, you got 50.
well, you got
more than that, as far as I'm concerned.
You have nothing. Make sure they get a look at your pretty face.
Yes.
Look over there. She's very
trying.
shy.
She does not want to be on camera.
Yeah.
She's out. She's off. She's off frame.
She's off frame.
There we go. Come on, turn the camera.
Thank you very much. There you go. There you go.
I will say this: you're the best looking thing at this table. I got to tell you that.
No question of that.
Okay, go ahead. There she goes. She's going to shake it.
You mentioned.
That's so nice. Did you know she was coming?
No. And if I did know, I wouldn't have told you. But anyway, you made an analogy that you were there when your son
I need
was
the water,
born.
Please. Thank you. Yes, I did.
And you were there when your dad.
I've now seen both ends of the life cycle, and it's amazing. We all go through it. We're human. Some of us never get to see either end. Back in the day, Jimmy, I know my dad didn't see me get born back in the 50s. No way.
He's probably working.
He was there, but it was the old days where the moms would give birth and then the dads would hear about it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then now, of course, I got to cut the cord of my son Gabe, which was unbelievable unto itself.
You're blessed.
And now I got to see dad's last breath. And I called my brother in. I actually was walking by the room, looked in, and his eyes was open. And I went, uh-oh, Mark, you better get in here. And sure enough, and it was...
The part I love
he gave me sports. Do I need to say anything more?
No.
Okay.
But the part I love is the part I love about the story is that he heard you guys laughing.
Right. Well, that's what we all said.
If that's the way you
and
go.
he said they're fine. They're going to be fine.
They're fine. Yeah. You guys are going to be okay.
Because he was told. I was told Wednesday night that he was going to last the night. I got down there Thursday morning. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We were there.
But he was waiting to hear you laugh.
I guess so.
See,
well, he was certainly happy about the Patriots on Sunday, but it took until Monday, and
he
and that
wasn't
was it.
going unless he went with the Patriots.
The Patriots happened,
That's
and he loved
the
loved the baseball. He loved baseball. He loved the Celtics. And my eulogy
but he
was.
gave you that love for it.
Yeah, he did.
Which
He
is
absolutely
just as
did.
important.
He did.
A father instills that into his son.
Yeah.
I would have never become a sportscaster if it wasn't for doing sportscasts for my dad.
Right.
At the breakfast table.
Right. That's right.
Because he worked all night long.
That's right.
And he didn't get.
But
a
he
paper.
loved Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
And you would know Walter Cronkite.
No. But that's but
That's
but
what
he gave me
it
the line.
is. That's right.
But that's what he gave me a line from. But I mean, he looked for Walter for his news. But I could see him when he would sit in his car and listen to a ball game, the joy that would be in his face. You weren't allowed to talk, which is very hard for me, being a talkative child.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet.
You were a talkative
car,
child.
yes. If you want to sit in this car, be quiet. So you'd have to sit there and say, and then you'd hear all of this crowd screaming, yeah! And I said, wow, there must be something going on inside this radio. And I could hear the voice. Byron Som and Bill Campbell were the two long-time Philadelphia announcers, but they were there at that time. And, you know, as I said, I needed you to talk about it because It's something that so many people fear, Jimmy.
Yeah.
They fear death. They fear like, wow, what's going to be beyond? What's going to happen to me? What's going to be? And we all address it in our own different ways. And to make another parable, the world lost Dick Brashani. Now, many of you may not know who Dick Brashani is. Dick Brashani was with the Boston Red Sox for over 40 years as their public relations man.
Really, media relations and
media
public relations.
Well, it was public relations first, then they turned it to media relations.
Right.
I've known Dick for all of my broadcast career. He probably gave me my first Red Sox credential.
Which at the time, if I remember correctly, Jimmy, you were the first African-American television journalist
yes,
in that
definitely.
in that press box in Boston.
Oh, yes.
I remember talking to you about that.
What a man. What a classy, dignified, very, very gentle, quiet, subdued man who went through the O'Connell regime, went through the Hayward Sullivan regime. He did it all for this franchise. And I'll never forget when they finally won the World Series in 2004. I made it a point to find him the next day, just to say, Dick, you lived long enough
That's right.
to see this. I said, now I'm only going to pray, Dick, that you get a chance to get your ring. When you get your ring, which they got the first game of the next year.
Yeah, that's right. And I was at that opening day.
When he put that ring on, there were tears in his eyes.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
And like he said, I'm a child that grew up into this, never saw it. I'm a grown-up that got into it and thought I would never see it, and now it's here. And then again, when they went in 2007, I called Dick Brashani the next morning again. I say, well, Dick, now you got two. You got two rings.
That's right.
I said, your fingers are going to be getting kind of heavy. And then the third one. And for all the times that we have spoken, all the times that we actually had personal conversations over the years, I've never once, not once, had a crossword with Dick Brashani. Not once. And most of my friends know I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to push you to the wall sometimes because I want to know what you're made of. But here was a guy whose gentle calmness was always a gentleman. He was just a gentleman. And Dick, may you rest well in the hereafter. And I pray that we will see each other again. Not too soon, but I pray that we will see each other again just so I can shake your hand and say, Dick, you were a first-class act all the way. And I'm sure that Joe Fitzgerald, who's been a guest on our program, he's out there, and I know Joe's feeling it too. So, Joe, if you get a chance to see this, I'm sure he probably knows by now. Dick has passed.
Harold had it a few hours ago.
76 years old, after a long battle with leukemia. Nobody knew because that was Dick Brashani. I never knew he was sick. He never said a word. And just a class act. Dick, rest well.
Rest well.
Now for you.
Yes, sir.
You will get to tomorrow, God willing.
Yes, I will.
And days and days and days. You're never going to forget David Young.
I know that.
It's not going to happen.
Yes, sir.
So you don't have to worry about that part. But the goodness that he put inside of you, may that always shine through highest.
Thank you.
That's the only advice that I could give you.
That's nice. Thank you, Jimmy Myers.
There's a passage in the Bible, Psalm 91, first passage, 91:1, 9/11.
My son's birthday, by the way, 9/11.
He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty, El Shaddai. Just remember that.
I remember that one. All right.
All righty.
Now, can we escape?
We can escape.
And talk a little bit about the Patriots, Packers last night.
Let me see. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a football
so
here.
Jamie Stafflin, who's our
But this is what I
here.
want. I want one of these when I grow up. I want to keep this. This is too adorable. I want this.
I love the
A cheese head with a cow on
That's
it.
a Wisconsin. That's Wisconsin. It's a
Wisconsin
badger. It's a
ba-
Wisconsin
badger. Okay, a little badger.
Because he's not only a Green Bay Packers fan, Wisconsin. He went to the University of, right?
Yeah, all righty. So,
look.
But this
we
is
have all
a
this
cow
stuff
he's
here.
sitting on.
He's
He's sitting on a cow.
I'm starting to get
So I was
hives.
right. He's
I just
sitting on
want
a
you to know.
cow.
I'm
He's
getting
sitting
hives
on
with
a
all
little
this Green
He's
Bay
sitting on a
stuff
little tiny
around me.
cow. I know. Believe me, I know my animal husbandry, whatever. He's a little cow, and he gets to sit here today because the man who technically runs the show, Jamie,
That's right.
our Jamie, is one of the biggest Green Bay Packer fans on the planet Earth. Now, this game has been building for weeks. We knew we were going to get to this moment. And I had told Jimmy, if the Packers win, We're going to have to deal with Jamie the whole night. Well, we're trying to deal with him. But this kind of stuff, now, I'm going to tell you something very unique, Jimmy, about this.
Yeah,
why I really like this. Why I
Mardi
really love
Gras
this.
beads on it, perhaps?
Everything. Jimmy.
Has a lot to do with Green Bay.
I was almost
the
fired.
same color. Okay.
I was almost fired from ESPN back in 1981 for dressing up the entire update desk with little
bobbleheads?
Stuffed animals.
Oh, stuffed animals.
Stuffed animals, right?
Yeah.
I had a couple dangling from the ceiling and everything, doing a morning update. The people that were there at the time, Scotty Connell.
Uh-oh. Gonna start naming names?
Oh, I'll name names because they know. Because if they're still out there, they know. I got called into the office by Bill Harris, who told me, have you lost your mind? And I just laughed because I was 30 years ahead of what they do today. Because when you turn on Mike and Mike, all the little toys. When you turn on Pardon the Interruption, all you see is these little toys all over the set. Dan
Patrick too.
And Dan Patrick. Now, guys, you were the ones who were far behind. I was too far ahead of you. You didn't get it. And I had fun.
They get it. They were like 3 when they saw it.
I had fun with it because I didn't want to make predictions.
I know you
So,
did.
wait a
That's
minute.
right.
So, I let the stuffed animals make predictions. I put little signs under each one. I'm lifted up and go, okay. I had a little cow there. That's why I noticed the cow said, Fufu Lamumu. That was her name. I said, she says so-and-so is going to win. Then I picked up a little bear, and I had it loaded. I mean, the set was loaded with these things. Now, people around the country, ESPN was growing, they had 1 million households. People were falling off their chairs laughing. But the management, they had to be real serious. We're real sports. And I'm sitting there cracking up going, what are you talking about? You want me to make predictions, I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. So I'm going to have as much fun with it as I can.
Right.
And that's where it all came from. So, yes, sorry, world. I was 30 years ahead of them back then, and I'm still 30 years ahead. I don't think they're ever going to catch up. But that said, we approached yesterday's game, and we talked about this game a couple of weeks ago.
No, we thought this was the game.
This is the game. And, of course, then you have Jim Nance and Phil Simms and everybody at the network saying, this is a pre-Super Bowl. Well, I'm not too Jim Nance isn't that great either. But everybody, hey, America loves you, so God bless you. Keep making millions. Anyway, I forgot more about Sports 11 now. But he's from that place that they like or whatever. But here's the deal. They're prepping this as a pre-Super Bowl game, and I'm going to myself, well, wait a minute. Aren't we getting a little ahead of ourselves?
Oh, of course you are.
Don't
That's
we
the funnest
still
thing.
have the rest of the season left before we talk about this? But the game finally met up to some of the hype. Not all of it, but it met up to some of it because it's in Green Bay, the frozen tundra. It's in Lambeau, on Lambeau Field, and the world is sitting there watching. And all of a sudden, I see, now most people will say, well, I saw this and I saw that. These are the key points that I'm sitting there looking at. I'm looking at the play of the offensive line, which has been a strong point for the Patriots against the defensive line of the Packers. I'm looking at the offensive line of the Packers against the defensive line of the Patriots. Because I say if you watch those two exchange contact on every play, you'll have a general idea of how the game's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, Green Bay accepts the kickoff. They'll take it.
Did they win the toss and accept the ball? I thought the Patriots won the toss and deferred because that's what they always do.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Well, then that was a dumb move on their part.
But they do it all the time.
Good. Well, this time it came back to bite them because they got the ball and drove it down the field.
Yes, they did.
They ran particularly off the left side. They ran the football. And that really kind of took the Patriots and knocked them back off balance.
9 plays,
because
58 yards.
But they were expecting them to be throwing the football. They said, we're going to give you a dose of running first. And that will open up certain things. Now, the Patriots, they're going to take away certain things. They're going to take away Nelson. They're going to take away, try to take away Cobb, but they couldn't take him away.
Not totally.
But they're going to take away your key components, the running back. They checked him in the second half. They couldn't stop him in the first half.
No, they couldn't. Lacy?
Lacy, he's going on. He's just running wild.
Right.
But what it does, it opens up the parameter of the inside of the defense from tackle to tackle. You have running lanes now. And once those running lanes are established, It allows play action. It allows Rodgers to get a chance to look down the field. Now, if he'd come out throwing and they put some real heat on him and you have no running game, a la Peyton Manning a couple of weeks before, you get a chance to shut him down. But no, once the running game had been established, and they only truly established it in the first drive, they had a couple of good runs after that, but most of the time the Patriots shut that down.
No, but here's the thing, Jimmy, and I already mentioned this when I was sitting with the kids. When the Patriots have the lead, they play so much more with more confidence.
True.
They're able to balance their play calling. It's run, pass, pass, run, pass. But here, I'm looking at the first quarter scoring summary, and you see it. 9 plays, 58 yards, ends in a field goal. You know, Green Bay Packers fans weren't real thrilled that they were only getting field goals, even though they were driving down the field. That's right. But in the first quarter, they got 2.
And how many times did I tell you, field goals lose the game?
That's right.
I wish there was a rule, Jimmy, at times, until the end of the game. Once you're inside the red zone, you got to go for touchdowns. No field goals. I don't want any field goals. You'd have to go 4 down to try to get in the end zone.
They controlled over 10 and a half minutes
time
of the
time.
first quarter, and they were up 13-0.
So
and as I tell Jamie,
you keep Brady and his crew on the sideline.
That's right. He kept him on the sideline. Great defense. That's what you got to do. And they still are 2 or 3 plays from winning that game. I just want to say, being a Patriots fan, the Patriots still could have executed the plays in the fourth quarter to make a difference at the end. They did not.
I am not a Patriot fan. I am not a Green Bay Packers fan, but I will take the opposite approach from you. If the Packers had converted on a couple of more plays, they'd have blown the Patriots off that field.
Now you're talking to Jamie.
No, I'm not talking to Jamie. You can
look
at it both ways.
Absolutely.
You have Devontae Adams dropping a sure touchdown pass. Sure touchdown pass, which would have knocked the game out at the end. Because if he catches that touchdown pass, they're up by 9. The game is over. I don't care what they do. Even if they go touchdown and 2-point conversion, you're still going to lose because onside kick, they've got to get it. But the bottom line is he drops a touchdown pass. Julius Peppers catches a ball, Brady threw it, and 5 times this guy has intercepted that same pass and gone the distance. There was nobody between him and the goal line. No. There's 2 touchdowns there. You're talking about 14 points, and then you talk about 5 trips into the red zone, and you don't score.
Was the score indicative of the game?
No.
That's what Packers fans are saying today.
I don't think so.
Patriots fans are clinging to the fact that
think so.
They didn't play that well, and they were still in that game. And that's usually how the Patriots lose. They don't normally lose like they lost in Kansas City or even in Miami at the first game of the year. They lose because they're not able to execute 2 or 3 plays in that fourth quarter, on those key downs.
And if I give you that, even if I give you that, I mean, Gronkowski comes within an inch.
He coached a great game.
Gronkowski comes within an inch of making a spectacular play at the end that would have won the game.
It looked like,
and it looked like he caught it.
Yeah,
it looked like he caught it, but it's control all the way to the ground, and then the ball pops out.
And then the ball pops out.
And Clinton Dix makes a play. Now, here's the part that gets to me. Everybody says Gronkowski can't be played. They found a way to bracket him. They bracketed him all over the field.
Yeah, okay. So they bracketed him all over the field, and he still had, where are you? There you are. 7 catches, 98 yards, 14 yards.
And a touchdown.
I'd love to see them go to Gronkowski on every play.
No.
Just to see.
Can't do that.
No, of course you can't.
You can't do that.
I'd love to see what would happen.
You want to get him hurt?
Well, that's the
You want to get him hurt again?
That would be bad.
Him being healthy is enough for me.
No, I'm with you.
If you go there 7 times and he delivers, fine. Now remember, Brady missed
Targeted
a key.
12.
He missed a key. Wait a minute. He missed a key pass.
Yes, he did.
To Gronkowski, which would have been a first down. Ball hit the ground before it got there.
He had 2 bad throws at least.
If you want to break this down, once Green Bay, after the first couple of drives, they came. Don Capers is more than capable. He's I believe he's won a couple of Super Bowls, if memory serves me. I know he's won 1. Don Capers is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. The game plan was as such. If they run on us, we're going to live with that. But every time Brady goes back to pass, we're bringing pressure up the middle. And how many times have I told you, Jimmy? I don't care about pressure around the corner. And they got pressure around the corner. Because Clay Matthews made one play where he came all the way around and still hit Brady's arm. But the whole thing is that The pressure starts to make Brady throw faster than he wants to throw. He has to set his feet. He couldn't step forward into some throws. He's falling backwards sometimes making throws, and it changed the entire rhythm of the game.
Yeah.
Now, what got to me more than anything was, you're a brilliant coach. If he's supposed to be a genius,
waiting, it only
why
took
am
10
I
minutes.
not going to dial up something? I am not going to let Rodgers get the time he had to look at the field.
He doesn't like to blitz. He likes to do cover sacks. Jimmy.
Okay, fine.
I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but that's that's what he sees his strength of his defense. Let me ask you a question: is the strength of his defense a pass rush or a defensive secondary?
The strength of his defense are two good, or people that can cover down the field.
So defensive
but
secondary.
Wait a minute. But the bottom line is, I don't care
Answer the
how
question.
well they cover. No one can cover but for so long.
12
You
seconds.
can't- Thank you. You can't let this
12
man
seconds.
stand there. And not just that one. That was the ultimate. That was
Right.
the epitome
I was like-
of laughter. You reached the point was, my God, how many autographs is he going to sign standing back there? How many tickets is he going to sell? Is there any popcorn still left by
Is
the
he
time
doing
we
a
finally
State Farm
threw the ball?
commercial or what,
Exactly.
right?
I mean, he's going discount double check. He's
That's
doing
right.
Hans and Franz. And I'm going to myself, will somebody at least breathe on him? Just breathe on him. Just let him think, I'm here. I'm in the neighborhood now.
good.
If you're going to play that way, you are putting a tremendous amount of stress on guys that can cover. And I'm telling you, Jimmy, you can't play like that because the bottom line is the longer you give him, somebody's
Right.
going to get
Oh, yeah.
open.
And the same- you can
And
say that about the
can't
Patriots,
cover-
too.
You can't cover forever.
Right, and
You
that's
just
why
can't.
the Patriots have that same MO, modus operandi, if you will. If you get to Brady, if you pressure Brady, that's how you beat the Patriots.
Okay.
The Giants have proved that.
Yes.
And other teams that have beaten the
Yes.
Patriots have proven
Kansas
that.
City proved it.
Absolutely. And
But who can do it?
well, that's just it.
See,
and
the
and
Packers
I think
could do it.
Yeah,
The
no.
Packers found a way to do
I-
it.
I-
And I'm
I'm
not
bringing
saying
on-
they
bring
got
them on.
there. I'm
I
not
want a
saying they
rematch.
got- okay, fine.
I want a rematch
No,
in
you just
February.
want to be in the Super Bowl. That's why.
That's
Okay,
right. I
yeah.
want to see the Super Bowl.
But-
And these two, by the way, I won't be disappointed if Seattle goes into Green Bay and beats Green Bay because I think the great storyline is Pete Carroll coaching against Bill Belichick. Those are the last two coaches of the Patriots over the last few years.
I'm so glad you said that for one reason. Ladies and gentlemen, if Seattle plays the way they did on Thanksgiving,
Right.
you may not have a quarterback after the first quarter. If Seattle plays like that, it's going to be very hard to beat them. I'm talking about this team would have to play at two levels above where they played yesterday to beat that team. That's how well they played against San Francisco. Now, if the Patriots play the San Francisco 49ers, and the San Francisco 49ers with Harbaugh, they're going to bring pressure. Believe
Yeah.
me, they're coming.
He's a good coach, but he's lost control of that team now.
They want to trade him.
Right.
Whatever.
The coach. They
But-
want to trade the coach.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is, if they were to get there, all that stuff is forgotten. If they get to the Super Bowl, then he's the greatest thing since sliced bread again, and whatever. But I'm saying the teams that can bring real pressure are going to cause you headaches because the offensive line, which has been the staple, they played their butts off going into yesterday. Once he took them down the field 2 or 3 times, they never got to establish a rhythm. The Patriots' offensive line never established a rhythm.
No, and I think they got
You
away from
understand?
the run. And this goes to my point about they play better when they have the lead. When they have the lead, they have a balanced attack. They go into almost panic mode way too early. They were running the football effectively on the Packers. And then because they were down 13-0, they immediately went to another angle.
But the thing that makes me laugh,
Bolden scored on a
yeah.
6-yard run.
Yeah, but the thing that makes me laugh about that type of thinking is this. Am I going to chuck my game plan because I'm down 13-0? 13-0 does not dictate to me to change the game plan. I'm going to say,
it's not the
say,
game plan.
if
They
we
changed
score
their
the
play
next
calling.
touchdown, which they did, if we score the next touchdown, then we stay run, pass, run, pass, run, pass like we've been doing.
Yep.
You abandon the entire running game. Now, where's the genius in that?
No,
Somebody's calling these plays.
Right, well-
Somebody's saying, look, we're dialing this up, or we're going to dial that up, or we're going to take a look at this.
Excuse me. I love listening to the NFL Sounds replays because you really do get a feel for who is making those calls. Josh McDaniels makes all the offensive calls. Belichick certainly knows what they're going to run because he designs the game plan.
Plus, he gets to counter. He gets to he
Absolutely.
can wipe out anything that he doesn't want.
But They didn't. I thought it was a very well played game. Very few penalties. Tell me why. Because I saw very few penalties, no interceptions.
I'm talking about defensively. I think the Patriots could have been even better with bringing 4 or bringing 5. If you can cover, Jimmy, like they can cover.
They're afraid of
bring 5, Jimmy.
That leaves. Well, hang on a second. That leaves 7 guys back.
Excuse
Okay.
me, leaves 6 guys.
Six
Try your
11,
math.
right?
Yes, 11.
7 and 5 is
Yes.
12. Okay,
Yeah.
right. Well, then again.
Well, you can use 12. Yeah. Okay.
Based
Whatever.
on what I saw yesterday in the NFL, they had a lot of teams had problems with 12 players, and some had 11.
Yeah.
That was bizarre. What do you think of the refereeing? I mean, let's just talk briefly here. The Marvin Lewis thing at the end of the game.
Terrible.
What's
terrible,
going on with
terrible.
that?
Well, wait a minute. Let's go to the Ravens game. Terrible refereeing.
Yeah.
Absolutely positive. That's the Ravens in San Diego.
Yeah.
Terrible refereeing. These guys are so weak. And then remember in the Patriots game yesterday, a call is made on the field. Belichick screams because it happens on his sideline.
Right.
And it was 6 seconds after the ball hits the ground. Edelman turns around, looks at Belichick, and starts screaming at the ref. They wave it off.
Right.
I said to myself, what? That's a first down. What are you talking? I mean, it's a third down. You got to kick the ball. Oh, no, we're keeping this ball because I'm telling you right now that wasn't a penalty. And I'm hearing Belichick. I'm seeing Belichick behind him screaming at the referee. And I'm going to myself, who's reffing this game? Do you get the ref and play at the same time?
I think that.
No, the refereeing is poor.
And you know what?
It's very poor in this league.
I think it's
extremely
the
poor.
NFL is under a microscope this year. It started with losing the concussion suit.
Yep.
It continued with the domestic violence with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson beating up his kid, and I think it's exposing the National Football League
For what it is.
for what it is, which is a
out-of-control league.
a greedy,
Out of control
entity. The referees should be full-time employees.
Yes, they should.
Okay, they should not have to have other jobs. They need to work on their refereeing the entire year, just work on their game the entire year.
These guys fly in from different cities. They get together
there's one more thing I gotta
Saturday
say.
afternoon or the day before the game, and they sit down and discuss what they're going to call and what they're not going to call. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute.
They do that in NBA
The
too, don't they? Jimmy?
No, but the NBA has full-time referees.
Okay.
They're not
point.
moonlighting in other jobs. NHL has full-time referees. Baseball has full-time umpires. What is with the National Football? They don't have enough money to pay. Are you kidding me?
That's what pisses me off.
No,
Pardon the expression,
no,
but that's
no,
what pisses me
no,
off.
No,
And
because you damage the product, Jimmy. They're damaging the product every single
I agree.
week
I
with
agree.
horrendous calls.
I understand
and
it.
Fans, I
And
know
they're
you
getting
fans
away
are
with
sitting
it.
out there going crazy because a lot of you bet, and nothing would inflame you more than to see a call like a couple yesterday. I mean, how many times did Hockley say there's no penalty on the play?
right,
I
3 or
said,
4 times.
What are you doing? And every time you're watching TV, you get so frustrated. You see flag pop up on your screen, say, now what? Or you hear a whistle blow before the play is
Right.
even snapped.
I look for that.
Now
You
what?
look for the flag
You
after every
I do.
play.
I'm going to myself, well, what? What now? And that's not the way the game should be played. And see, Jimmy, what happens is this. Bad refereeing in any sport, it disrupts the rhythm of the game. There's no smooth flow in a game when there's bad refereeing or when they're weird calls or calls that are out of sync. This team is driving. Now all of a sudden they're up 14-0 and they're driving for 21-0. You know a holding call's coming. You know one's coming. So they got to play from 3rd and 20. And another perfect example. The Packers have a chance. They're over midfield, and they got a chance to stick the dagger in the Patriots. You have Rodgers walk up to the line of scrimmage and gets a clock violation that makes it 1st and 15 instead of 1st and 10. What? Are you kidding me? Here we are. We got them. We got them rolling, and we're on their side of the field. We're at least going to get another field goal, at least that. And the first play, Jimmy, we get a clock. We get a play clock violation. I'm sorry.
Makes no sense.
I'm sorry. That's poor. That is poor. And this league, to me, I told you, I always call it out of control. Doesn't have a clue about reality in regards, and they just think that every single week, the product that they're putting out there, that people are just going to openly accept it. I don't think it was a well-officiated game. So you say, well, it was a great game. I don't think it was a great game because a great game is well played, well officiated. everything goes, and you have very few penalties, and the penalties that are called are clear and obvious, because we can call holding anytime we want to. I know that. But let me see. One time, play's over, and you're going, everybody stops, and you're looking around. I said, why are they stopped? Oh, holding on 39, Brendan Browner.
Right.
And I'm going,
holding or illegal contact?
Or
after
legal
5
contact?
yards?
What is it? And they didn't know whether it was holding or legal contact.
Right.
They didn't know if they didn't know what happened. And
Well,
I'm going to
legal
myself,
contact it can be holding, and vice versa.
Jimmy, what I'm saying is
They're not sure.
they are not. There's no certainty. And all of a sudden, how many? Okay, tell me how many times you saw this. Just tell me how many times you saw this. Just in yesterday's game, just one game. How many times did you see the ref huddle?
The refs huddle?
How many times?
Well, let's see. There are 8 penalties, so I'm going to go probably at least a dozen times.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you have to make that many huddles to figure out what you call?
There's so much,
I called this.
right.
Well, what did you call?
There's too
Well,
much-
I'm looking on the other side of the field. Well, what did you call?
Too much
well,
subjectivity.
Let's think about this.
Too much subjectivity for them to make up the decision. It should be pretty plain and simple of what is a penalty and what is not. And these guys are, again, you know what, Jimmy? We've been talking about this subject with the referees in the NFL for dozens of years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? My point being is that the NFL, I think, is finally getting exposed for the monopoly that it is,
Mm-hmm.
for the bully. I mean, they're bullies in business.
Yes, they are.
And by the way, this is another thing that freaks me out a little bit about football. The headlines of who's 18? Matthew Slater's contract extension, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everybody's excited, $4 million extension, right? Then in the next paragraph, Pablo Sandoval signs for $100 million in baseball.
Okay, so
It just drives me nuts that baseball has such a much better deal in collective bargaining than the football guys, because the football guys are giving up years off their lives. They're signing up for brain damage to play this game.
yes, they are.
And they understand that. I know that's where you're going.
I'm just wondering where you're going, because I want to hear this because
I'm
the
mad.
mentality-
I'm mad. I'm pissed off
because it's
that
the
they-
mentality. It's the mentality of young people who are coming up through the football ranks to play football in the NFL. So many of these young people are not that well educated. I'm gonna call it like I see it. Okay? They're not the smartest people. They're bright, but they're not smart. And there's a big difference between being bright and being smart. Now, when I say not bright and not smart, you're bright, but you're not smart enough to even read your own contract. I bet you 60% of this league has never read their contracts. 60%. Not read one page of it other than how much do I make?
Right.
Where do I sign? Okay, you sign here. Well, what is that language there? That's Latin. It's for the law or whatever. I don't need to know that.
I don't think they do contracts in Latin anymore.
And I'm just saying, well, okay, it could be English and it could still be Latin as far as they're concerned. Well, what does this mean?
maybe.
Well, what does this mean? What does this mean? Boom. And their agents control everything. So you have a bunch of guys running around thinking that they're important, while the people who are making the real money, the ownership and the management of the National Football League, they control everything. They
So
control everything.
Where is the pressure going to come? Is it sponsors? Is it women's groups? We were talking a little bit offline about the NOW, National Organization of Women. Where is the pressure going to come to make the changes necessary?
It's going to have to be legal.
Somebody's
going to have to challenge it. There are going to have to be more and more lawsuits. They're going to have to be.
Will there be a work stoppage? Because to me,
I believe that.
I think
I told you when they signed a 10-year deal.
I
seriously doubt if they will ever live out this deal. You're not halfway through and they're upset.
Right.
And if we're not even 5 years, Jimmy.
Right.
The last work stop was only 3.5 years ago, if I'm right. They're going into the 4th year. Now, they're not going to finish 10 years without these players saying, look, man, no. Somewhere along the line. All right, I can give you a perfect example. All the quarterbacks get together and say, we're going to sue the NFL. None of us are going to play. Now, we're the highest paid salary players.
They need the quarterback.
And we are going to get with the constituency. We're going to get with the guys on the defensive side that are trying to rip our heads off. And we're going to get with the people trying to protect us. And we're going to say, here's the deal. We have to make this better for all of us. There are safety issues here that must be addressed. Instead of everybody just going their own way, not caring and saying, look, not me. I'm not going to worry about it. If I survive this Sunday, I get a paycheck. And if I survive next Sunday, I get a paycheck. Life doesn't work like that. And like this is when I talk about being smart, being bright, and being smart. I'm not saying these people don't have intelligence. They do. But some of the business decisions are so silly and so I don't want to say stupid because I don't like to use the word stupid. I don't like to call people stupid. But what I'm saying, some of these business decisions are so archaic, are so
ego-driven,
brain dead. I mean, you got to be brain dead to be looking at this and saying, okay, what's the possibility of me playing? No guaranteed contract. That's number one.
That's
is
crazy.
Number one. The moment I get hurt, I might get paid for the rest of the year. Might. Depending on how the reading of my contract, might get paid for the rest of the year. Now, you mentioned Slater. Perfect example. This guy is in one of the most dangerous positions on the field.
Absolutely.
He plays special teams,
yes,
which means he's flying at full speed every single time he steps on that field. Slater does not get a chance to say, well, let me go half speed and see what it's looking like down there. I'm running into a pile of people, and I got to see where the blocking wedge or the blocking scheme is going to be on a punt return. I know. I said scheme.
I know.
Where's the blocking scheme here, or how do I get through this hole without having somebody chop my knee up or chop this knee up or hit me in the head or whatever? And every play on special teams is full speed. There's no, on a kickoff, it's full speed. And remember, the ball's kicked out of the end zone. They're still running down there taking hits on the way down.
Right.
So
not
you
as
gave me
violent,
a
though, as they
but
were.
you gave me a $4 million extension. What good is it going to be if I get hurt?
No good at all. And it's a shame. I just don't know how again, I go back to that question. You say the quarterbacks, I think that's a very interesting idea.
If you got, hey, Peyton, Tom.
Yeah, those are the guys.
If you guys got together.
Not Aaron.
You could
too
wind
young.
up. No, Aaron too. You bring them all in. You could be the greatest heroes in the history of this sport. You could change sport overnight if you weren't greedy and thinking of yourselves and your $100 million contracts, Joe Flacco, and so forth. Right. If all of these guys alone said, look, you know what we're going to do? Backup quarterbacks included. We're not playing this Sunday. We have an issue sitting on a table that's so vital to our health and so forth. We're not going to play. Let's give.
They have to open that collective bargaining agreement before they do that, though.
Of course, but let's go.
Yeah.
Let's okay.
And I think there is something has to kick in for that.
Let's say we found out that whether it's AstroTurf, whether it's natural turf, and so forth. Let's say we found out
it causes cancer.
It
does actually.
Any player playing on this stuff is vulnerable to cancer.
Yep.
That could kill you within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
There would still be crazy enough players to go out there and risk their lives to do it.
They do it now.
But I know they do. But what I'm saying is, if these guys stepped up and said, we are the stars of the game, therefore we will dictate how this is going to go down. It's in policy.
They want control of policy. You know
now, of course, the owners are never going to give it to you. But you used to have a 57% to a 43%. That was more than enough for the owners to make.
Right.
Now, the owners jumped above you now.
Right.
And as you look at this, when this new TV deal comes in and you see all that money that's going the other way, which we talked about, these players are going to go crazy. When they see those billions of dollars and they say, wait a minute, we signed a 10-year deal. Our mean is going to stay here. Their profit margin is going to keep going this way. And we're the ones taking the risks.
I know.
We're the ones that are doing it.
I would not be this upset if it was reversed and baseball had non-guaranteed contracts.
Why?
Because I don't think that's sport. You don't give up years off your life to play baseball. You just don't.
Excuse me.
You don't.
Bottom line is this. You stand in the batter's box.
I know.
And face the possibility that somebody can hit you with a pitch and kill you.
I understand that.
Don't tell me it's not.
But
And
it
plot
doesn't
that.
happen on every play, Jimmy.
No, that's true.
It happens on
That's
every
true.
play in football.
Every play. But no, don't take away the guaranteed contract when a guy has earned it after 7 years he's played and it's his time to get paid.
Point
Free
being,
agency,
the two
6
sports.
years. No,
It's about the two sports. And you can make the case. In fact, I think there is a case to be made that the baseball players play about
162 games.
Plus 30-odd preseason
200 games.
Yeah.
Total.
And that over like 230 days.
Now, how are you going to tell me the punishment that your body's taking is not?
It's still not the same.
No,
You know
I'm
that.
not saying it's the same, Jimmy.
Right,
Nobody's making an argument it's the same. Of course it's not.
Right.
You have 16 or 20 games, or 22 games if you count exhibition.
Right.
You have 22 games compared to 160. It's a different sport, Jimmy.
I know.
It's a different entity.
I know.
It's a different revenue stream. Whereas baseball.
But baseball is not making money hand over fist. They're doing fine.
They're doing fine, Jimmy.
But they're not,
and their
not
new
like
TV
the football league is.
Of course not, because football is the #1 sport in the country.
Absolutely.
Because it appeals to our violent nature. Because it appeals to all of these things that are wrong about us. But we still want to see somebody knock the crap out of somebody else and say, ooh, 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 what a hit. I'm telling you, I'm not going to affect. I don't want to take away from baseball just because football doesn't have it. I'm blaming football for not having it. It's your fault.
Right. No,
you sit at these.
100%.
Excuse me. Here, Damaris Smith. Oh gosh. All right, guys like that. You sit at this bargaining table, and you came after Gene Upshaw, who fought this league tooth and nail. Made mistakes? Yes, he did, and I'm not getting him out of it. But the players were in a much better position during that regime with a strong players association than they are now. When Bob Kraft can walk into a meeting and talk to these guys in such a way to convince them to accept a deal that they know they shouldn't have taken, and now all of a sudden, I got, was Saturday, is that his name? Jeff Saturday? Yeah, he puts his arm around him. This is a great man. This is the guy. Now today, Saturday's gone, and all these guys said, you are a jerk. You sold us down the river for 10 years. 10 years. Who the hell signed a 10-year contract?
They signed it. They agreed to it.
They agreed to it because most of them are broke. That's why they agreed to it. So we're going to raise the stakes, risk our lives even more to stay in hock. Because most of these, too many of these guys live beyond their means, which is true.
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is that I'm not going to blame the game for that. I'm blaming the people who are supposed to be negotiating, supposed to be making deals, supposed to be sitting in those rooms going, look, we have to have more protection for our players. We have to have guaranteed contracts. If a career ends, they'll buy out whatever. That's not enough. Because what's going to happen when that money runs out and that player's into his 40s or 50s, and you see all the problems they're having right now. You see it. You can't tell me all these guys that have retired from the game that you don't see all the problems they're having. That's why they kicked the suit out, the settlement out.
Right.
They said $795 million. No.
763.
760.
Right.
No, we're not doing it.
Good.
We're not doing it.
That's right.
But I'm saying this is a league that bullies. They've been out of control for so long that they think that nothing can bring them down. That's why I'm telling you.
know.
I'm going to go back
Look
to
at Goodell is the perfect example of that.
I'm going to go back to the beginning of my argument. It will have to be legal. It would have to be Congress or something
What if
higher
they took
than them.
the antitrust
and you
away?
take antitrust away. You say, okay, look, we're tired of this foolishness. Your antitrust exemption is gone. Now, any bunch of millionaires can come in with a new league. They can bid against players like the old AFL, USFL, or whatever, and we can do this all over again, which is going to drive salaries through the roof again, because you're not going to lose your Rodgers and your Bradys and those guys. And if those guys say, wait a minute, hold on. There's a couple of multi-billionaires out there that want to own a franchise. They can't get in this little tight-closed fraternity as the NFL.
Right.
Now antitrust is gone, and they can start their own league again. Football leagues would be popping up all over the place, Jimmy, and the money that they would be and the money that they would be generating, they could say, look, Tom Brady, we can give you $100 million. We can give you $50 million up front. Now, and we're gonna get a lot of players to come with you, so you'll have a team. These guys just want to play football, Jimmy. They don't care if they play football on the moon. They want to play football. And you get a chance to walk out the door with $50 million in your pocket. 50 extra million in your pocket.
I know it.
Brady, Rodgers, none of these guys could turn that down.
No.
Here's another. Let's go one further. You have Russell Wilson coming up for his contract. This is the year. Now, you're giving Kaepernick $110 million already. So now, if Kaepernick's worth $110 million, what's Russell Wilson going to be worth? And particularly if they get deep in the playoffs or they get to the Super Bowl again and they possibly win, what's he worth?
More.
So now, okay, wait. The scale jumps from here to here for quarterbacks.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, you got to bring up defensive backs, defensive linemen, offensive linemen, special team players. Everybody goes up. But it's not real money. It's fake money because one knee, one shoulder, one head, it's over.
I know it.
So you can say what you want. Economically, it's just, it doesn't make any sense.
She wants to leave. Thank you so much, honey, for coming by. You should say hi to the Bravermans, Joe and Mark Braverman. That's Donna Starr. She's like the greatest thing that ever happened to me, I just want to say.
But
so anyway, we have a call. We have a call to make. It's a good argument. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to another guy who has some perspective. I don't want to say years of perspective, but perspective not unto itself. We're going to call Roy Reese up, and then I think we're gonna three-way call Mike Reese once I figure out the microphone cord, because I'm having trouble with the microphone more today than ever before. Oh, look at this! He's calling us. How amazing is that? That's because this guy knows what it's like to time a television show. Roy Reese, how are you, sir?
Hey, Jimmy. Nice to see you and talk with you tonight.
Yeah, and then say hello to Jimmy Myers.
Jimmy, nice to see you too.
How are you, sir?
Tonight.
How are you?
And Roy, we've covered a lot of ground here tonight. Some of the subjects you don't necessarily hear about, but I have to bring up something that Jimmy brought up, and I know you know who Dick Bershani is.
Yes.
And he passed away over the last, I believe, 72 hours, and we're doing some reminiscing about the good old days. Of the days when Dick was in charge of the Fenway Park press box. Do you have any memories of Dick?
Well, he was always a very helpful guy, and for those who don't know, Dick, not only with the Boston Red Sox, I think he's been inducted into the University of Massachusetts Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Yes.
He's also been inducted into the Cape Cod Baseball League Hall of Fame, and it's been just a tremendous booster of baseball all around New England. And he was just a great help to, I think, any young reporter coming up or any young media person, who really had an interest in the game, and terrific historian of the game. Really knew the facts and figures, and was just a nice individual.
Well, he will be missed, and I think this is the best way to remember somebody who's passed, is to come up with stories that kind of separate what they've done and how their legacy may continue in some capacity.
Roy, I always felt he was a gentleman, just a very gentle person. I mean, stand-up guy. I mean, he'd stand up to you if he felt you were wrong about something, but I always felt he was a gentleman. He just, he knew how to handle people, which is such, and I don't know if he really handled people, but he knew how to treat people, which is a major part of that job.
Of course, any public relations person really has to have the good people skills, and Dick was always very good with people, friendly kind of guy, and always try to take care of you and make your job a little easier for you doing whatever you had to do.
Now, did you hear Roy say public relations? See, I told you. When we were coming up, Roy, it was public relations. Now it's media relations. Whatever.
Well, I think there's a distinction now, actually.
Yeah, whatever.
I really do. Okay. Hey, Roy, as someone who has a perspective, that's a great way to look at it, a perspective on sports journalism and the changes over the last 3-4 decades. Are you amazed at what, in fact, I know, being the father of Mike Reese of ESPN, here's a young man who has to be able to go on television, put a television story together, write print style as a blog and ESPN Boston and his column and all that. There's so many, you can't just be good at one thing anymore.
It's funny you say that, really, Jimmy. And Jimmy Myers will probably say the same thing. When we were growing up in the industry or in the business, you usually did one thing. You had to write, obviously, but you were a TV person. And I tell all the young kids today that I meet, you've got to be multi-faceted. multi-talented. You can't just write. You can't just be a play-by-play guy. You can't just be a TV guy, because you've got to do it all. The nature of the job has changed so dramatically, and the media has changed. I mean, back when Jimmy and I were doing television, the newspapers were really vibrant organizations. I'm not saying they're not vibrant anymore, but their impact has really been diminished over the years with the internet coming on, 24/7 talk radio, cable television, the radio now having all sorts of different channels as well. I mean, it's a 24/7 cycle, and it's really changed the way the business operates.
Well, I always felt blessed by having a mentor like Clark Booth, who mentored me. And I never felt one-dimensional. I always felt like I could write. I could definitely do radio or television. So I felt we were a little ahead, because I was doing both at one time, which I felt gave me a tremendous advantage of staying sharp. But today, with blogging and all this other stuff, where people have a tendency to be able to critique your work immediately, it's just a different world. But it doesn't mean that these young people aren't skilled and they're not good at what they do. I don't know if they're as knowledgeable or they study their history as well, whereas they can just pick up a book or go to the internet and get it. Whereas I felt that we had to know a certain amount of history because nobody was out there to help us. We were writing script. We had to know certain things. See, I wrote my own script. I never had anybody edit it. I never had to have anybody cut my video.
So
or
did
anything.
I cut the video.
And you cut video.
Thank you.
So and I taught a bunch of people who did these
yes,
things.
Yes, you did. You taught me.
I taught everybody along the way. Whereas today, if you go to ESPN, you got, when I first went to ESPN, Roy, back in '81, I used to go downstairs to the videotape room, and they had bays, like 16 bays, and I would actually help the young people edit the packages the way I wanted them edited. Nobody had ever done that before because the talent never went downstairs. They just didn't believe in it. I said, well, this is why we're getting highlights sometimes, or a young person sitting there, maybe they don't understand what leads to this play. Maybe we need to use 2 plays before. But, they have grown. But I still see holes in the business, particularly when it comes to journalistic integrity, things that you have to know about this business. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I tell you, Jimmy, when you were talking about doing your own video, one of the stories that comes to mind, you'll remember the Celtics triple overtime game against Phoenix. And I think it was 1976.
Yep.
June 4th.
I was there.
June 4th.
I think that was a CBS game.
Yep, we were there.
We were the CBS affiliate.
You were the CBS affiliate.
At the time, at Channel 7, they used to record the game on reel-to-reel tape.
That's right.
I remember that.
I love this.
Go
ahead.
Night.
I remember, yep.
And I had to set up an appointment the next morning because the Celtics, I think, were flying out to Phoenix for Game 7.
Game 6.
Needed a package for the
Game
Saturday
6.
night news.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I had to set up an appointment with with my videotape guy that I loved to work with. To clear time because he had to do other things. He wasn't just doing sports.
He was doing news,
He was
right?
running the station as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we took 3.5 hours to put together maybe a 3-minute, 15-second package on the Celtics highlights of that triple overtime game. You'd never see that now because it will give you 3.5 minutes to do.
Yep.
That's right.
One play.
That's
you
right.
might see one play. Okay, here is the game-winning shot, or the 2, and you're never going to see my package. Roy, my package was like 6 minutes long.
That's right.
I violated every videotape law that we had. Because remember, Roy, at that time, too, we had rules. You could only go 1:29. You couldn't go 1:30 on a package from CBS or NBC. If you were CBS, I was NBC. So you couldn't go any further than that. And I used to think, well, let me time Roy's package. And if Roy goes 1:32, I'm going to go 1:33.
Yeah. And you talked about the integrity, Jimmy. I think today what happens with the social media, people just throw out things in the social media, and there's no accountability. There's nothing like that, and it's really a shame because people's reputations can be tainted.
Yes.
There's just not a lot of truth to the fact.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is that you talked about. I'm not so sure that some of the kids coming up today in the media have, sometimes they just step into these jobs at big companies and don't have that. They don't have that training. You know what I mean? The year or two in the bushes. Let's
No
say.
grooming.
I mean, I spent 4 or 5 years. I remember, working at a small radio station. And I did everything. I mean, I covered city council meetings, school committee meetings. I did play-by-play. I did radio, talk shows.
But you learned.
I mean,
That's how you learn, Roy.
Yeah.
That's how you learned. You learned the business.
I agree with you. I just think that today, I see some of the kids that come up and, they go to school, they get out of their school, and boom, they're into a job, and they just don't understand, like you said, sometimes the history of what it means to be in that position and how to go about doing it the right way.
So, as someone who is the father of a legitimate, very impressive young man named Mike Reese, you got to be proud because he's doing it the right way on multimedia platforms as opposed to what you see on TMZ or reaction to Twitter feeds and all that.
I can tell you this. I mean, I'm not, Mike, we talk an awful lot. We've talked about philosophy and how to conduct yourself. And I think that, he's troubled by what he sees and how things are. But I know that one time, I'm going to say 5 years ago, he told me 6 years ago, I want to cover the Patriots and I want to do it in a way that no one else is doing it. And I think that, he introduced the snap counts. No one else had done that because no one had thought of those things. And he puts the time in and he reviews films and does things. And I say to him sometimes, I say, Mike, how do you find the time to do all this stuff? Because you're a dad, you take care of your kids, you're traveling, you're doing this, you're writing. I said, please make sure you know how to balance your time because that's so important in life.
That's great fatherly advice.
How did you balance your time, Roy?
How do I balance my time?
How did you balance your time when Mike was coming up?
I wasn't as good at it, I got to be honest with you, because I was all into work. I mean, that's all I did was work.
That's what we did.
I'd go to work, and man, I would just, and Jimmy will tell you, I mean, I don't know how he was, but you get out of the air at 11:30 at night, you just can't go home and go to sleep because you're just so wired.
You're not kidding.
So jacked up, you know what I mean? It was really hard.
Right. Yeah. Oh, no, I went to bed. 2 o'clock was my bedtime back in the day when I worked till 11 o'clock. And I was a young 20-year-old something back then, let's just say.
Let me ask you
this
question, though.
You'd work 6-7 days sometimes.
Right, yep, you got it.
It was just a real tough thing. And I really didn't do a good job, I would say, of balancing my time.
That's honest, Roy. But because, see, being a single guy for all my life, just about. I never had these situations. I had a lot of godchildren. I took care of them. But the thing that for me is that I still see today, even when I try to watch, it's very hard for me to watch. I help break the barrier for sideline reporters, for women, and so forth and so on. And I don't see any of these people that jump out at me that tell me that they're really good at what they do. I know they have headsets on. I know they're being given the questions to ask sometimes. And I don't see people that I think really know it. I'm talking about no flow, to be in a game, like you talked about a 76 game. I could have told you everything about that game. Glenn McDonald stepping off the bench in the third overtime. This is 40 years ago, and I still remember it. I'm talking about plays that people just don't remember or people can't relate to.
It's perspective.
And it's perspective. And I don't think they have that today. It's almost like fast food, Roy. They want to give it to you fast, and you're still hungry an hour later.
We call it.
You know what else it could be, though, Jimmy? I think that, there's a word that we use here in our household. It's called passion. I'm not sure that everyone in this business or in the media has that passion, to do the things that you're talking about, to really be on top of their game in every aspect. It's really hard, and
it's a good point.
A lot of them just don't simply have that passion.
No,
a lot of things have been handed to them on the way up, and if you've been handed a lot of things, it's not easy to work hard at it.
And Roy, think about this. I think the money becomes a problem too. So many of these young people make so much money that they honestly equate money to their sense of importance as to who they are. And that's where you get lost, because we didn't make that kind of money. And I'm not envious of them, Roy. Believe me, I'm not. Make all the money you can make. The only thing I say to them is whenever I speak in forums or symposiums, I say, just be damn good at what you do. So when you look at that camera, people know this person knows what they're talking about. This person came prepared. This person is ready for any question that gets thrown at them, and so forth.
And I say, if you say it with conviction, Roy, somebody's going to believe you. Okay, and with passion and conviction, and those are kind of the things that I talk to when I work with young people, because I say, don't just tell me that the Patriots and Green Bay Packers are going to meet in the Super Bowl. Tell me why you think it is, and do it passionately. Do it with some force. Do it with some feeling, some emotion,
and some knowledge,
and
that you watch
and
both teams,
knowledge
that you know
and
what you're
facts,
talking
and
about.
back them up with those facts. Absolutely.
See, Roy, it still goes back to something that you said a little bit earlier, and that we both agreed on. You have to be able to have the ability to look at something, look within it, gather the information that's needed there, and to be able to turn around and decipher that information and give it back to an audience in a short amount of time. You're dissecting a 3-hour game. You have 1 minute and 32 seconds, basically 1 minute and 30 seconds, to be able to tell the entire story of the game video-wise. But how your comments are placed, how you can look at highlights. How many times have you seen disjointed highlights, Roy, where you'll see the score on the bottom of the screen, 13-0, and then they want to get a sack, so they'll go back to 7-0, and you'll say, whoa, my eyes just saw 13-0, now I'm looking at 7, so they took a highlight from way before and put it in the wrong place. We weren't allowed to do this, Roy. Stuff had to balance.
Right.
Remember,
the other thing is this. I think one of the things I judge everything I watch or read nowadays, I always say to myself when I'm done, did I learn anything that I didn't know
there
before?
you go. That's it. And I never
I
do.
think that's so
I say
important.
no.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
If you're not going to tell me something that I don't know, you've wasted my time.
There you go.
Well,
and time is so precious in today's society.
Is.
You know, we're going so fast, and everything is moving so quickly.
Wow.
And you can get it in so many different ways: mobile devices, internet, this, that. I mean, the world is changing so dramatically. I want to learn something different. I don't want to hear the same dribble.
Well, that's good. That'll keep you going and going too, Roy. And I know that you've retired down on Cape Cod, and we certainly want to wish you the best down there and enjoy that area of the Cape, which is one of my favorite areas to visit as well. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on with us. I am going to follow this up with a call to a certain Mike Reese, because he said, give me a shot. Maybe I'll be able to come on, because, you know, I do recognize how precious family time is to him. And I respect that.
It is. And I would just tell anyone that's listening or watching or anything, if they come down to Cape, watch a Cape baseball game. It's a great take.
I go all the time. All the time.
I go down. I work a lot with the Patriots Cavaliers. It's one of the beautiful ballparks that you'll ever see. I do the public address for them, and I have a blast, and it's just the greatest.
That is awesome.
And some of my former students, trainees, and now college students are going to be down there this summer doing play-by-play. I don't know what team Alex Barth is doing, but I know that he's heading down that way. Tom Quinlan had done it before him, and it's sport at its purest form for enjoyment and love of the game.
Roy, as you leave us, you still love it, don't you?
I do. I love it. I watch a lot of TV. I still
do
read
I.
an awful lot. I like to get involved and do things, and if I can do something and it makes me happy, I do it.
All right.
God bless you, my friend.
Hey,
Be well.
Great to talk with you again, Roy, and please keep in touch.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Take care.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Good man.
So that was Roy Reese, longtime sports guy in the Boston area and father of Mike Reese, who covers.
We were competitors.
You guys were competitors, but how?
But respectful competitors.
I was going to say.
I never got to know Roy when we were on the air.
Yeah.
Because we didn't fraternize at that time like a lot of sportscasters do today. We didn't get to know each other per se because we were in a competitive business. But, you know, I don't think we ever had 5 or 10 to each other while we were working because we were too busy trying to win the ratings war, as you called it, or win the popularity of an audience. But you know, he's very talented guy, and he passed it on to his son.
Right, and I just texted his son to see if he's available to talk because I do respect his time with his family.
Yes.
Mike has always been there for me over the years whenever I've worked with the young people up at Camp Bower Crest. Jimmy, you remember going up there? We're going to give him a call right now, and hang on, because and here we go. This is always an adventure with me because I push the right buttons.
And that's why I don't want to do this.
I know, but
That's
it's
why
done.
you can
It's
keep all
done.
this crazy stuff.
It's done. Look at how quickly that was. Huh? I know. 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringy dingies, 3 ringy.
Hello.
Hey, Mike Reese, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. It's Jimmy Young along with Jimmy Myers, and I just want to tell you that we just spent 15 minutes on the phone with your dad.
That's great. How was that?
That was great. Reminiscing about the, if you don't mind me saying so, the good old days. And
There you go.
and you
There
know
you
how
go.
far back I go with Jimmy Myers, back to the 70s, long before you were even a
Yeah.
twinkle in your dad's eyes, let's just say.
That's right.
So it was
That's
fun.
right.
Mike,
Oh, that's great.
I appreciate you taking the time out because one of the things your
Always.
dad said was he is amazed that you're able to balance your life priorities. And you was that a joke or no? I mean, obviously you do because I know you're the father
Yeah.
of a couple of kids, and you always
Yeah.
you have to have the time to make for them.
Yes. Yes.
And despite the fact that you were in Green Bay last night, I'm taking right.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
What time did you get home? Come on.
Well, so the Patriots are continuing on, and they're going.
San
They
Diego.
went right to San
Yep.
Diego. So I'm actually headed to San Diego because I have to follow them.
Gotcha. Well, again,
So-
we were talking about that with Roy.
Yeah, Mike, how old are your children?
I have 5.5 and 2.5, Jimmy.
Golden ages. And
Yeah, that's great.
You
Right.
understand by having a father who did what he did, and your dad
Yep.
was very honest, and it's one of the things that I truly like when somebody can be honest enough to tell you what their faults were or whatever. He says, I'm not as good as my son is at this time. How do you manage it, Mike? Because 5.5 and 2.5, they miss daddy when he's gone. I know they
I
must.
know.
Oh, good. Make him
I
feel bad
know.
now, Jimmy.
No, I'm not trying
I
to make it
understand.
Jimmy.
No, I
I just wanted to. I'm trying to find out from him. How do you balance it, Mike? How do you do it?
I'll share with you a conversation I had with Tom Brady
Mm-hmm.
at one point within the last year, and he said, life gets pretty simple once you have kids. You do your job and you put everything you have into your job, and all the time you have outside of that, you put into your family and your kids. So it actually makes it simple.
Yeah, but
it's not
Tom Brady doesn't have your work schedule. See, Tom Brady has days off. Tom Brady has time
No,
when he's
he
not
doesn't.
practicing. Well, when he's not practicing in off season, you're a sportscaster every single day. So if something breaks, you're going. It's as simple as that. Like
Tom
you said,
Brady,
I'm
he
on my
never
way.
takes days off.
No, because he loves the game so
Yeah.
much, Mike. And his work ethic actually is legendary, and you can see it
Yeah.
on the field. Although I think last night, I bet he was pretty critical of his performance last night because that's the type of competitor he is.
No doubt. Could you tell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just a tad. What were your impressions of last night's game? We've analyzed it a lot over the last 2 hours, both with the younger sportscasters and now with my cohort here, Mr. Jimmy Myers. A lot of people were trying to make this into a Super Bowl preview. It was a good football game, but it wasn't a great football game. How did you see it?
Well, I thought it was a great environment for football, first and foremost, and I thought it was two very good teams that you had to win that game. The team was the other team wasn't going to lose it for you, and it sort of goes back to something Bill Parcells I think once said. Before you can learn to win, you have to learn not to lose.
Yep.
And I think these two teams do that very, very well. And you put them on the same field in that environment, and I thought it was very entertaining. I thought the team that won deserved to win because they made more plays in the critical moment.
And that's really what every good football game should come down to if the two teams are playing well. One of the things we pick apart a lot and we talk about is despite how good the Patriots are, despite how good the Green Bay Packers are, each team has their flaws. And therein lies the ability to strategize and game plan to attack those flaws week in and week out. And when you don't have as many flaws as the other team, you usually win those games. Agree?
I think that's fair. I mean, the turnovers usually show up, and they're a huge factor.
They are.
I think specific to the Patriots, after going over the game today, sort of a second time, I think that one thing we're going to have to watch for going forward is how teams attack their, fifth defensive back in the games. I thought they really went after Logan Ryan, and then they went after his replacement, Kyle Arrington, and then they went after his replacement, Alfonso Dennard. So that would be my concern when we talk about flaws, going forward.
And yet they have to, because they have the two great cover corners in Bronner and Rivas, you take them out of the game a little bit. One good and one great. You take them out a little bit. You take them out a little bit when you play zone, because you want them to man up on the other two best receivers, right? So there's always that chess game.
There's always that chess game, and they were working the matchups around last night, trying different things. And, what we've seen in past weeks, teams haven't been able to go to their third option on offense, their fourth option, even their fifth option, and beat the Patriots. But the Packers could. And that's why I think, they're definitely worthy of the talk of being one of the best teams in the league, because they had Devontae Adams, a rookie, coming up with big plays, Richard Rodgers, a rookie tight end, coming up with big plays, Andrew Qualis, their other tight end, coming up with some big plays. I mean, it wasn't outside of Jordy Nelson's big catch and run and Randall Cobb having a couple clutch catches. I mean, those guys, relatively speaking, those were just a couple big plays. So I gotta say, credit to the Packers. They really did what I thought other teams haven't been able to do since the Patriots.
All right, let me ask you this question then. Let's flip that game. Let's play it in Foxborough, and I bet you it's a different game. I bet you it's a different game, and I don't bet, but I'd be willing to bet you the calls are going to be different, the atmosphere is going to be different, and it's going to be this is a home field league, and that's basically one of my biggest problems, that your truly great teams go on the road and win. When I saw, and I mentioned this to Jimmy, Mike, what I saw of Seattle against San Francisco. If they're on that rhythm and they're finding that mojo, whatever, if they're finding it right now around Thanksgiving, you do not want to play that team. If they play like they played Thanksgiving, the Patriots don't want to play them either. Believe me. On a neutral field, no. It's not, I'm telling you, this is a dangerous team. See, you mentioned good team. There's another level up to be a Super Bowl champion. And they are the defending Super Bowl champions that's gone through all their drama, Percy Harvin, all the other mess. The running back, 24, he's in, he's out, I want to be traded, I want to be this. But somehow, now that they found their way to get to this point, I saw a dangerous rhythm when they were playing San Francisco, that they completely took the 49ers out of that game. I mean, they were gone. They were gone by halftime, Mike. So if I'm seeing that, and I'm saying they can do that to Peyton Manning. They can do that to the 49ers, although Kaepernick is nowhere near Peyton Manning. This team is the type of team now that's going to that next level. Do you think that either one of these teams, the Packers or the Patriots, could go to that next level and match up with Seattle right now? If they had to play right now, do you honestly think they could?
I do, Jimmy. I do. I think they could.
I don't.
I think the point... and I think the point you make that I really like is, if you had asked that question 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I think we would have said authoritatively yes. But look what Seattle has done over the last couple of weeks to earn your confidence. It took that one game, No, it wasn't one game for me. It was 2 games. But the last two I saw them play, they're hitting a rhythm, Mike. And this is a rhythm game. And I'm beginning to look at them and saying, oh, no. If they're finding this now coming down the home stretch, they're not worried about the Cardinals. The Cardinals lost yesterday. They're certainly not worried about the 49ers, because the next time we get the 49ers, we believe that we can beat them.
So we look next towards the next toughest opponent. Does Green Bay want to play them even in Green Bay? No. Everybody's saying, let's hope somebody else gets them before we get them.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's a very good point. I mean, that team also knows how to win the big game.
How to win.
But I'm going to tell you, I do, and I love your point about the road wins. I mean, that's when you really find out about a team. And the Packers are much different at home than they are on the road. I mean, it's easy to forget 2 weeks ago, they sort of just squeaked by the Vikings.
Barely made it by the Vikings, as you mentioned.
Exactly.
Squeaked.
So
Yep.
so I get your point. I guess I'm a believer. I think they have it in them, but I agree with you. They've got to show it. They've got to show it.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, I might have said Seattle. I had some doubts. Well, they've showed it to me. I guess I'm more willing to invest in the Patriots and Packers than I would have the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, but they've proven me wrong.
Another scary point my partner brought up earlier, and you made a very good point with this.
Once in a while, I
think
get it
about no, come on, be serious. When you think about the overall look of these three teams, let's just take these three teams. We don't have to go any further than these three teams. If you play these teams on a neutral field, no home field advantage, and we're going to get to that final game. If Seattle's there, Mike, it's going to be tough to beat them. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be real tough to beat them. And on a neutral field, no.
And it's a great storyline, too. Pete Carroll against the Patriots. I just think would be a great way to end the season one way or another, Mike, I got to ask you a question about the Patriots and the difference in this team when they're playing ahead, when they get that lead and they play ahead versus playing from behind. It seemed last night to me, again, that they didn't get into a panic mode because they moved the ball so quickly to score. But they seem to change their rhythm. Jimmy, you talk about rhythm.
Yeah.
They change their rhythm when they don't have the lead. What's your impressions about that comment?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me the most is that they're at their best when they're more balanced on offense. I really thought they conceded a little too much in the running game last night. And to me, when they get the run game going, it sets up the play action, and everyone's more comfortable starting up front with the offensive line. And so I don't look at it as much about, getting the early lead as it is establishing, your run game early, in the game. And I guess part of that is making sure you don't fall behind because it's harder to run to get behind. But to me, Jimmy, that's what stands out more than playing from behind. Like I'm thinking about, they've showed some resilience in games where they've fallen behind this year and hung in there. To me, it comes back to that offensive line and putting them in a position to feel comfortable that they can sort of set the tone for that offense.
Well, they got cold because Packers get the ball the first couple times, they drive the field. And that's keeping them on the sideline. But I don't think a 6-0 lead or 13-0 lead is a reason to abandon your running game, Mike. I just don't. You still keep doing what you do. You played 7 straight games where you have dominated people because that line has now come together. And you're saying, look, and even the times they ran, Jimmy, when you mentioned it, when they ran with their backs,
the Garrett
Blunt, Bolden, they got what they wanted, but they get pass happy when they fall behind. Okay, we got to get it back in a hurry. No, you don't. There's a whole big clock there. Okay, even if they took 10 minutes, we still have enough time. If we scored when it was 6-0, we scored and made it 7-6. It flips the whole scenario again. They went to, okay, we're going to throw. And then if the Packers are dropping back and they're weak against the run, you're playing into their hands.
Yep. I agree with that, and I don't know if you guys listened to Bill Belichick after the game. I had asked him, if he thought they had gotten away from the run, and he said, he didn't think that was the case, and he cited LeGarrette Blount, averaging almost 6 yards a carry, and that was actually my point. He did average 6 yards a carry.
Give him the ball.
He only had 10 carries. Right. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, and look, they have all the data and obviously are looking into this a lot deeper than all of us are as to why they make the decisions they do. But sometimes I feel like, there might be a case of almost like paralysis by analysis. You have the 30th ranked run defense in the Packers. Like, take a little shot at them and try to establish that line of scrimmage and power through them. Early in the game, I think it was the second drive of the game, they were only down, 6-0. I think at the
That's what I
time,
said, 6-0.
and it was pass.
And you're
Like,
getting
why?
pass happy, throwing the ball all over the place instead of saying, look, okay, now we're settled. They've dominated the clock. Now let's just get the ball, drive it down their throats for a little while, and let's see if they can handle what we want to do. Never did. I mean, these guys are supposed to be brilliant tacticians, and they got everything figured out and so forth. And my question is, let's look at the defensive side, Mike, and think about this, and keep this in your mind. Why? I don't care how well my corners cover. Why am I going to let somebody like Rodgers get that much time in the pocket? I've got to send 5. I've got to give him something different to look at. I didn't understand that at all. I just didn't.
And to follow up on that, Mike, Chandler Jones is starting to practice. Does his return, he's the only guy I think that I've seen that can actually game in and game out get pressure on that quarterback. He's got the speed. You don't think
Nikovic.
so?
Because
Nikovic doesn't have the same speed as Chandler
he doesn't have
Jones.
the same speed, but he can put pressure in the pocket.
All right.
Nikovic makes big plays, whether he's looping around from the end, coming up the middle, or whatever. Nikovic is involved in a lot of different things. Then you add Chandler Jones. Then you add the other guys up there. But I'm saying, Mike, I'm not going to sit back and rush 3 or 4 if I'm not getting home at all. They didn't get home at all, Mike.
I know. It was really interesting the way they decided to defend him. I mean, at one play in the fourth quarter, they actually rushed 2 defenders.
2 defenders,
So
right.
they dropped 9 into either coverage or into like a short zone just because they're so concerned with Rodgers' scrambling ability to extend plays. And part of me is watching it over and saying, well, look, this strategy put them in position, that if they made a couple plays, they could have won the game. Can you be that critical of it? At the same time, you say, man, you just love them to send the house like once or twice.
Thank you.
Say,
that's all I said.
Let's see if it happens.
Thank you.
And but at the same time, Jimmy, there was one. I'd have to go back and look at it. There was one play where they sent. Oh, you know what? I think it was actually the Jordy Nelson touchdown. The 45-yard catch and run. They sent 5, so it was 1 extra rusher, and it wasn't even. They didn't even get close. And that's the boom bust risk reward when you send pressure.
The problem for me with that, though, is that if you looked at the play, and I know you did, you've looked at it a couple of times.
Yep.
Revis stumbled. He made a cut outside. He stumbled. His whole back, he got turned around. That will happen. But at the same time, that play only took 3 seconds for him to get rid of the ball, throw it down the middle. Nobody's going to get there in 3 seconds. But I'm saying, like you said, look, I'm going casino blitz. I'm sending everybody sometimes. And particularly when he got into those situations whereas, I remember a couple times he hit Cobb coming out the backfield. That's great. If you want to run that play, I'll spy him and I'm still sending 5. I'm going to send 5. I might send 6 sometimes because I'm not going to sit back and let you beat me, Mike. You understand? You're going to have to beat me. You got to go down the field to beat me. And he's not beating you deep. He's beating you underneath. The same as Brady. Brady's not beating you deep. So I'm saying the throw deep, he's going to need 4 or 5 seconds. If we can't get there in 4 to 5 seconds, Mike Reese, we don't deserve to win. If I'm the defensive coordinator, that's what I'm going to say. If we don't get to him in 5 seconds, something bad's going to happen.
Or 12 seconds in this case.
Well, we don't even want to go there. We don't even want to go there.
Mike Reese, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you taking some time out.
Absolutely.
And this will be a good half hour. We'll post this up on YouTube for the Reese family reunions. So the father and the son can listen to each other's points and all that. You guys are a great family. Thank you so much, and keep up that good work, Mike Reese.
Just do me a favor. Take care of those kids. Because they're the most important part of what you got.
I love it, and thanks to you guys for all that you do and have done.
Thank you, Mike.
For me. So thanks a lot, guys.
God bless you.
Mike. Thank you
Stay
so
safe.
much. Take care. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Great guy, very talented young man, and
Yes.
works for ESPN Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do some sponsors because actually
Okay,
I was
go
right
for
on
it.
that, Jamie. Because we need a little segue. So this is good because we have a little bit of an audience, and we want everybody to take a time out. Jimmy, this is a good time for us to take a time out for a nice
I can
cleansing
leave now.
breath.
Good. You can go read. I can leave. No, I'm not gonna be like you. I'm not just leaving.
Cleansing
Cricket, could
breath.
You do me a favor? Could you do me a favor? Could you,
All right, so
could
it's
you
time to
remind
take a
Mr. Brady
deep cleansing
the
breath
bartender
in through
that
the
he's supposed
nose,
to be on?
filling up your lungs, and then slowly exhale. That's right. We want you to inhale to the count of 5. I'm over here, right? This is me.
Exhale.
This me? Yes. Okay.
Holding.
So we want to
Take
inhale.
5.
Inhale the count of 5. Pause. And then exhale to the count of 5. This little timeout for cleansing breath, that's a cleansing breath, is sponsored by our friends at Hip Studios in Needham, Wellesley, and Medfield. That's hip with a
Y.
And I knew he'd get that. With a Y. If you've always heard about the healing and relaxation powers of yoga, now might be the best time to try it out. And Hip Studios is a great place to start. They offer introductory classes for yoga, Pilates, ballet bar. Jimmy, have you ever been on a ballet bar?
No.
I didn't think so. TRX suspension, a real rider, indoor cycling studio. And look,
I love toys.
The Badger is doing some stretching right now.
The Badger is stretching right now.
And
See?
they have indoor class rowing, which, by the way, I am now doing. I just want to say.
You are?
I am doing indoor. I'm not getting anywhere, though.
We're not
Sorry.
going there. At least
All
you're
right.
trying it. You're doing it. That's the most important thing.
They have a great new student special where you can get 10 days of unlimited access for just $25. That is a great gift, by the way. It's right. You can get unlimited yoga classes, Pilates, indoor cycling, and rowing classes for just $25 over a 10-day period. Check it out. It's a great way to get yourself going in the right direction as we get towards that special time of year. And, of course, that pass is good at all 3 of their locations of the Hip Studio in Needham, Wellesley, and Medfield. So if you want to take control of your life and do something good for your body, mind, and soul, not necessarily in that order, get Hip Studio. You can find out more online at hipstudio.com. That's hip spelled HYP studio.com, or call 781-444-5551. Even send an email. You know how to do that? Oh, no, you don't. You know how to do that at home. Info at hipstudio.com. Remember, when you spell hip,
I don't do it.
When you spell hip, use a Y for youthful, HYP, and turn back your aging clock by breathing and stretching your way to a new life in a mindful manner. That's our great sponsor, Hip Studio. We thank them for their support, and we thank Scrub It Up Car Wash for their support as well, although it's been a little intermittent lately because I haven't stopped by to get any new car washes.
Well, that would be a good idea for you to do that.
I will do that, and I'll pick up some car washes and give out some car washes to our friends, but it's a great time to get $25 unlimited car washes every month.
Particularly with the bad weather coming.
Oh,
You can
gosh,
use
you
all
had to
those car
remind me.
washes.
There was
We're supposed to
bad
be
weather
getting
last
snow.
week,
We're
too.
supposed to be getting snow tomorrow, possibly.
Oh, just
But
wonderful.
A couple of things very
All right,
quickly.
go back to...
As we go, as
Yes.
we get back into this. There is a scenario that we kind of touched on, but we didn't really get that deep into it, is the Ray Rice situation now. He's been reinstated. A former federal judge who acted as arbiter, Barbara Jones, made a ruling. And she basically said in her ruling that Mr. Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, he's not truthful, which means we talked about this weeks ago.
He lied.
He lied. And now, what does the NFL do? What are
Nothing.
they going to do now?
Nothing. They're not going to do anything. They're
This
going to
goes
be
back
arrogant.
to your theory about being out of control, arrogant, and so forth, right?
That's right.
I mean,
It's
he's
the
been
national
exposed now.
arrogant football
He's
league.
been exposed.
Yes, he has.
Because a federal judge who sits on that as an arbiter knows the law, knows all the ins and outs of the questions to ask, and is sitting there going, wait a minute, hold on. It still goes back to, did you receive the tape? Did you not receive the tape?
That's right.
No, I never saw the tape. You didn't receive the tape and you never saw the tape. Now, how come the rest of the world got a chance to see the tape and you didn't get a chance to see the tape and the tape was sent to your office? So as it keeps going further and further, it becomes more and more embarrassing.
I think so too. But did he break any laws by lying to anybody, Jimmy?
No, but he broke the trust that's been put into him
by
as
the owners,
commissioner,
by his
as
bosses,
commissioner
right?
of the league.
Yeah, well,
not not the owners.
Yeah, well, the
it's
owners
the
pay
players
a salary.
too. The
Yeah.
owners pay his salary, but remember, he must deal on both sides of the table. His problem is he's been all authoritarian when it comes to the players, where he has owners that are so far out of control. Jim Irsay out of control. Other owners that Jerry Jones out of control, and the players see this and they're saying, wait a minute, hold on, you're supposed to be the great deciding voice in stuff. Why are you letting these guys do this kind of stuff and you hammer us for whatever we're doing? So what I'm saying is, as a commissioner, you truly walk a fine line in this situation, whereas David Stern, with all of his negative points, and he had several blemishes, but he ran it. He controlled it. Adam Silver's trying to do the same thing. Then you look at Bud Selig, who I am not a fan of, but Bud Selig ran it the way he felt it needed to be run. Then you even look at Gary Bettman, the head of the NHL.
Another one.
You don't hear that much. But you don't hear that much about Gary Bettman, because Gary Bettman rules with an iron hand, but he tries to do it in such a way that the players feel that there is some semblance of, when hockey players get suspended.
Right.
Yeah, when hockey players get suspended,
all right.
he will tell them why they got suspended. He will tell them, you can't run at somebody with a stick up to the face. You can't do that. And these are the parameters by which we don't let you operate. Now, in the NFL, we're changing the rules every single week. We're coming up with stuff that, it was a 2-game suspension. Well, it's going to be indefinite. Now, the possibility of, and now in these other women's organizations, if Ray Rice, they say 4 teams are interested in him. I seriously doubt if anybody's going to sign him.
Not this year.
But if somebody did, the hue and cry across this country is going to be enormous. And the whole thing, it still comes back to the fact that the man who sits at the top of the pyramid, who sits on top of the fake shield, he lied.
I just
he
can't.
lied.
And he's going to get away with
it,
Jimmy.
He lied.
He's going to get away with it.
Well,
and that's what really, it bothers me.
The
That whole
bottom
league.
line factor is,
look,
anybody else in the real world gets fired for this, summarily. I don't care if you have a $50 million salary. You get fired. But here's that duality that we talk about in our lives.
Dangerous.
Some people can get away with anything. Others can't get away with a thing. So that's what you got to deal with.
Yeah. So, we're Roger. So we don't think Ray Rice is going to play again this year. We don't. I don't
know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I just think, even as arrogant as they are, and even if an owner's sitting there going, we're a possible playoff. We might be 1 or 2 players away. We might take a flyer. I'm telling you, his board is going to sit there saying, "Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Do you realize all the repercussions that are going to, you realize all the heat that's going to come from this if we sign this guy? There's going to be protests around the stadium. There may be people trying to stop the game and so forth." Oh, speaking of which, let's talk about St. Louis, because Ray's on the St. Louis players.
Yep. They come out with their hands up in the salute to Ferguson.
Yeah, the Ferguson situation.
And, they did not get any suspensions.
Yet.
Okay, yet.
Because the police organizations are putting pressure on the NFL to do something. Find them, do something. We do not want to see these players with their hands up and so forth. Well, you created the situation. So.
You who?
The police organization. I mean, the Ferguson police created this situation. Michael Brown, the victim created the situation.
Right. Okay, good. I'm glad you mentioned that too.
So there's wrong on both sides.
I think there's wrong on both sides.
But
I agree.
At the same time,
glad we agree
once you take an incident like this one,
yeah,
and all of a sudden, I even have black people that are trying to tell me, well, it's another black guy getting shot. Try to keep this in mind. He robbed and walked away. Right. It's hard for me to justify that, regardless of because his crime initiated his death.
Right.
That's the way life goes. You do this and bad things are going to happen. Now, did he have to get 10 bullets fired at him? Of course not.
No.
Now, the police officer himself has resigned from the police force. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go that somebody's not going to recognize him? And now he has to worry for the rest of his life that somebody may draw down on him and now he no longer has a gun. So his life is now in jeopardy. I'm not defending what he did
No,
at
no,
all.
I am not
but
either,
I'm saying
Jimmy.
I look at it from
There are
both
repercussions
sides.
and consequences
Hold
on
on,
both sides.
Hold on.
And equally.
And then I see people demonstrating in the streets. Many of my people. I'm seeing people breaking into liquor stores. Come on. We're better than that, people. I mean, I'm not using the death of someone to go break in and steal a TV or whatever. If I want to make a statement, if I want to make a powerful statement, I'm going to go turn out the police station. Make them have to build a new one. Trust me, these people start thinking 2 and 3 times. If something happens to a police station, it takes $20 million to build up something. See, what you do with people is you make people pay a price for what they wish to do. Now, if people in Ferguson, if you're that upset, do something in a constructive way. And when I say constructive, I'm not talking about, no, it doesn't have to be peaceful.
Well, yes, it does.
No, it does not.
Why?
For one reason. Because the founding fathers of this country wrote words as such, and I will repeat them. If the government does not serve the people, it is the right of the people to abolish that government. That's the founding fathers put that down there. So if you're going to take it literally, don't come telling me that you can't get violent or whatever. Everybody wants to say, let's be peaceful. Let's be peaceful.
I think you should be.
You're being peaceful while there's a young black man being shot once every 18 minutes in this country. And a lot of people are getting tired of this, from Trayvon Martin to now. They're getting tired. And what's happening, you're building this powder keg that's about to explode. Now, you and I talked about this earlier today, and we said in a country that's as crazy as ours, yes, I worry about President Barack Obama every single day.
Absolutely.
That some crackpot will take a shot at him. And trust me, I said this 6 years ago, I'm going to say it again today. America better pray to God that does not happen, because there will be things happening in this country. We will go sideways.
There's
so
the powder keg.
I'm praying the powder keg does not get tipped over like that. But going back to Ferguson.
So can we go back to why you can't have a peaceful demonstration?
You can have one, Jimmy. I'm not saying that. But the problem with peaceful demonstrations today is that people don't take them seriously enough. When you're trying to be peaceful, people don't listen. The only time people listen is when it strikes at them. When it strikes at you, then you're going to be upset. I mean, if you're going to be out here rioting in your neighborhood,
there are ways to strike at each other and still make it peaceful.
If damage started happening in some of these secluded neighborhoods in America and very expensive places, trust me, things would change in this country overnight. And we've reached that point. Now, I don't have to preach revolution. We've reached the point. I didn't bring us here. We were brought here. So we better all start facing this before something happens that tips this thing completely out of line and we can't get it back. My
Good
thoughts.
stuff. Well, your thoughts are great, as usual. Were we supposed to talk to the bartender?
Could you please see if you can get him over here? Okay.
What's his name?
Keith Brady.
Keith Brady. No relation.
Now, very quickly. Get over here.
Oh, wait. He's got to go shake hands with an old friend.
Okay, but very quickly, another thing, too. I want to bring this point up.
Oh.
Because I want to slip this in.
I'm going to let him. Oh.
Okay, come on in here.
Come on in here. Uh-oh. Jamie, you're going to have to adjust your cameras. Pull in a little tighter. Make sure we get your good side. Do we have your good side?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Now, Keith is one of those rare human beings that's had a chance to live out an experience that very few of us will get a chance to do. Very few of you. I've been to several of them. But the bottom line is this. Keith went to the Harvard-Yale game. Now, how Keith got there, he got tickets to go from a general. I mean, legitimate 2-star general who eats in this restaurant, came and gave you seats. Now you got a chance to go to the big game. It's called the big game.
Did you go to Harvard? Wait a second. Did you go to Harvard or Yale?
No.
I went to Quincy Community College.
There you go.
Quincy Community College.
Quincy Community College.
Can you spell that?
No, I cannot. But what a baseball team they had in the 1980s, I'll tell you.
There you go. What position did you play?
Shortstop.
Attaboy. All right.
Tell me about the excitement centering around that game.
Well, I woke up with a buzz. I'll tell you what. I went to this game, and I was driven in by a 2-star general, 93 years old.
God bless him.
This gentleman, I didn't know he was going to drive us into the game. He drove us into the game with his lady friend of 85 years old.
Oh, my goodness. Wait, he hadn't been with her for 85 years. She was 85.
Robert
That is
Coolidge
correct.
Davenport.
That is correct.
General Robert Coolidge Davenport, who's going to be a guest on this show in the future.
And you know, when we got there and everything, of course we stopped right at the gate. He's got preferable parking right there. Preferable parking. We stopped right there, and they promised me lunch at a place called The Track. So I was really looking forward to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But as we dropped him off and everything, he told me to be careful of his lady's boots, his lady friend's boots. Now I know why.
Okay, good.
He had a little flask in there. It's a little secret. He had a flask in the boots.
Well, what do you think his secret is to last 93 years and still have a girlfriend
Okay, go
at 85?
ahead.
So
You're 92 with an 85-year-old woman, and whatever it takes to get
That's
you
right.
over.
That is
Nobody's going to be arguing. Could you imagine if somebody said, "Could we look in your boots?" She would have said, "Are you out of your mind?"
Well, she knew it was there, too. That was the great part about it. She told me to watch out for the left boot, and I watched out for the left boot, right? So anyways, this was the best part. They had promised us lunch at the track. So I thought that we were going into a restaurant called The Track.
No.
No.
Yeah.
We went into the track where they will run indoor track. It was catered. Now, my name right now, originally Keith Brady, but I went in as Keith Morgan. Okay. You know, I'm
Class of 63 or what?
Better than that. He told me to put H44 on there. I was the class of 44. Right?
That's great.
No, I didn't understand.
Anybody asked to see your diploma?
No, this was the best part. As I was getting the food, going through the line and everything, everybody told me how great I looked. No, I thought it was because of what I wore. No, but I was the class of 44. It was fantastic.
This is a great story.
That turned out to be.
Go through the food line and be class
Yes,
of 44.
I was the class of
And
44.
you look great. A Second World War, 2 more wars after that, and you're still here.
It was fantastic. It was just a treat and a half. It was on my bucket list. I succeeded on my bucket list. I had a fantastic time. They came in this last Monday. I couldn't appreciate it anymore and thank them anymore. It was just a great time. It was a great time with both of them.
And a great football game.
What about the game?
It was a heck of a football game. I watched the game.
Now, where'd you sit?
The game itself, I saw the future George Bush's, Bill Clinton's.
Yes, you did.
It was fantastic.
Barack Hussein Obama's. Yes, you
Yes, and I'll tell you what, it was a great time. These people, these college kids enjoyed themselves. They drank responsibly. And the game itself to boot.
Oh, what a great game.
Right at the end of the game, it was great. I got down to field level, and I met this single mom, and her son played receiver for Harvard. He didn't catch the winning touchdown, but it was quite a treat being with her as Harvard sealed the victory. It was fantastic.
Tim Murphy, the coach, is a former University of Maine coach that I actually got to interview when I was a little pipsqueak up in Portland, Maine, doing sports up there.
I love Portland, Maine.
He's done a great job with that Harvard football program,
think about it,
and a
Keith.
perfect season.
Think about it.
Nothing that's
the
very
history
special.
of that rivalry and all that was involved. One team is 10-0, one team is 9-1. It comes down to a long bomb, 55 seconds left to go. They score, then an interception to end the game. You're swept up in all this. You know everybody's running on the field by that time. Where were you?
I was over at the corner of the field, and I just sat there and absorbed everything like a sponge. It was just beautiful. And, like I said, one last part that was priceless.
Yes, 44.
After the game was over.
I'm going to call you 44.
44.
H44.
44. K44.
love
So
that.
anyways, this is what happens at the end of the game. We get into the car ready to leave. And the general says to his better friend half says, listen, you got to put an eye drop in my eye before we get off to take off. So wasn't that a sweet thing? He bent over, her hands steady as ever. She hit his eye with that eye drop like she was throwing a 3-point shot like Chris Ford in the 70s. It was perfect. She nailed it.
We remember Chris Ford.
And
That's
they
so
drive
funny.
away.
And he drove you in.
It was in. Not only that.
Yikes.
Not only that, we left at 9 o'clock. The game started at 12:30, so I was doing the math. There was a 35-minute drive from here, so I wasn't sure, but the guy did a wonderful job.
That's amazing. What a great story and well deserved. And I know you've
Robert
met the guy. I met the
Coolidge
guy too.
Davenport,
I think
two-star general,
I
and
think it's
our
great.
own Keith Brady from the Knobscott Cafe. Keith, I know it's something you'll never forget, will you?
It was fantastic. It's nothing I'll ever forget, and I couldn't have gone with better company. It was fantastic.
they're
I'll tell
classy
you right
people. I've
now.
met them
It
both.
really was.
All right. Well,
Thank
that's
you, my
a
friend.
great way to end the show, too. Great story. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
You bet.
You'll have to come back. We'll talk more.
Okay.
And we're going to get the general on,
and
too.
get my special going. Let's just say. Okay.
Before
sorry.
we go, one
Yes,
point,
sir. Yes,
another
sir.
point I want to make.
One more point.
Kobe Bryant.
Who?
Last evening, be serious. Kobe Bryant last evening eclipsed a milestone. He's over 30,000 points already. He'll probably break Michael Jordan's, he'll pass Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. But the hardest factor for me to deal with after watching last night's 129-122 overtime victory over the Raptors and how lousy the Lakers currently are is the fact that Kobe Bryant passed the 6,000 assist plateau. I'm telling you, I didn't believe it. And I've watched Kobe so long, I said, where did he get 6,000 assists? I know he shot enough times. He shot more than any other player. Yeah, he shot more than any other player in the history of the game, just about. But I just want to tip my hat to you, Kobe. 6,000 assists. Now, I think of the great guys that played this game. Oscar Robertson, over 9,000 assists. Magic Johnson breaks his record. John Stockton, 15,000 assists. Jason Kidd, Mark Jackson. And for Kobe Bryant to be the scorer that he is, Jimmy Young, and to amass 6,000 assists, it tells me the talent of this young man.
Well, guess what? I'm going to get to go to the Celtics game on Wednesday night. I haven't been in a while. I'm looking forward to seeing our old friend Jeff Twist.
And?
James Young. I'm really hoping he plays. Oh, my God. I'm such a groupie. I cannot wait to buy a James Young version.
Go up to him and invite him on the show.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to do it through Jeff Twist.
You got to come on,
Jeff,
Jimmy.
he's got to come on the Jimmy show.
Come on.
We're going to do a whole Jimmy show where everybody knows a Jimmy. So, anyway, I just want to thank you for the kind words at the beginning of the show. And I am absolutely shocked that Donna Starr made the trip out here. And literally while we were telling the story.
Love, brother.
But she came on at the
Called
perfect
love.
time. It was not like
It's
she came on at the
love.
beginning of the show.
Love is eternal.
As soon as I was starting to talk about it, she came on. That's
Love
why
is
I lost
boundless.
it.
Love
Right
has
there.
no barriers.
Anyway,
there's no.
I want to
there's
thank Roy Reese, Mike Burns from the New England Revolution, Go Revs, and Jason Siegel, who called in today, too. We're starting to use the phone a little bit more. It seems to be fun. Joe, did you enjoy it? Thumbs up from Joe Braverman. That's what I live for, those thumbs up moments. And
I
yes,
know somebody who enjoyed it.
the little badger.
Jamie.
The little badger. This will be
Jamie
the
and
last
Cricket.
time.
This Jamie
okay?
and Cricket. This is Jamie and Cricket's story. They're not letting me take it home with me. But it's
Bucky the Badger.
It's deep.
We'll let him be, but
Bucky
this will be the
the
last time any Green Bay Packer stuff is on this set, unless February 1st comes along and the Packers beat the Patriots again. That is not going to happen. Okay?
Okay. Just remember you said that.
I did say that. And what do you always say?
If it happens, never say never, because you never know. Because if it happens, we're going to be draped in There'll be Green Bay here. Everything's coming down.
The T-shirts and the hats
is
and
coming down.
Oh man,
It'll be
I don't want to see
all
it.
green and gold and white. That's it, with G's all over the place.
Not happening. Not happening. Anyway, fun show as always, Jimmy Myers. Thank you. Next week we got some really cool guests coming up in the next few weeks. I'm just going to tease it with that, and I want to again thank Jamie Stafflin and Cricket and everybody else here at the Knobscott Cafe for
David Young,
hanging out.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Dad. Love you. Love you, Jimmy Myers. So, without any further ado,
and that's what it is in sports.
See you next. Ooh, I'm not supposed to say that.